Welcome, welcome, crew, guys, gals, ghouls, friends, fiends, foes, and other worldly beings. Let's climb aboard the mothership, secure our tinfoil hats, buckle down tight, and hold on loosely as we soar over the rocky tops of the La Platas on a rocky mountain high, get sucked into the vortex of the Four Corners, and settle down snugly at mile marker 420 in colorful Colorado. I'm your ghostess with the mostest, TessaTNT, broadcasting live from the Mile High Clubhouse tonight. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to you. And thanks so much for stopping by and hanging out with me tonight on We Are Paradox Media's Late Night in the Rockies. It's an honor, a pleasure, and a privilege to be hanging out with you tonight. If you want to listen in your free time or watch in your free time, whether you're working it or working out, feel free to check me out on Spreaker.com, YouTube, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen to your broadcasts and podcasts, and you should be able to find me there. So I'm pretty excited. I'm going to knock on wood because I don't want to jinx it, but I'm pretty sure I got my internet fixed. So we've been having issues with it for a long time. We've gone through routers. Finally, this last router or upgrade that they did to their system showed that it was not the router or the amount of people on the internet. It was something to do with the lines. And I got into the box that was on the wall in the house that is the old phone line now, the internet line. And one of the lines, the green line, was a little disconnected, like it wasn't completely screwed down. So I popped the little connector dealy in under the screw, tightened it back down, plugged everything back in, and so far, so good. The entertainment worm has not chosen us to prepare our show for us or to prepare our TikToks or whatever we may be trying to watch or listen to. So yeah, gonna miss the entertainment worm. Hopefully this is a brand new day. Also, I did call another internet company, Clear Networks, which is fiber optic, before I went and fixed this thing on the wall, but fiber optic is better than regular internet from what I hear. I don't know. Their customer service is really weird as far as communication. I talked to 3 different people, and they're really laid back and stuff, but I feel like I don't have all the info, like when's a possible date they'll be stopping by, etc. Maybe they'll come back and talk to me, but even on their website where you sign up, it shows that I was signed up to have service or whatever going on in May, and then it was canceled, which is not by my hand. And so, I don't know. We'll see what happens, but let's keep our fingers, toes, hairs, eyes crossed that everything goes off without a hitch tonight. Without any further words, let's giddy up.
Did it again. They scanned the most impossible temple in the world to prove that big archaeology knows absolutely nothing, uncovering unexplainable tool marks in some of the hardest natural rock known to man that we can't even achieve with our modern tools today. If you thought the pyramids were impressive, this is about to run circles around you. This is Kailasa Temple in India, and it wasn't even built. It was carved out of the side of a mountain. This entire temple is essentially one solid piece of rock that they worked around to create a functional monolithic complex with the most detail in anything you've ever seen, along with unique acoustic properties where the slightest hum reverberates into a body vibrating chant. Thought to be intended for sound healing purposes, sort of like an ancient hospital, or possibly even the construction method used to build this, as well as functioning drainage and carefully engineered ventilation systems, which were all carefully thought out as part of the original design, not something they just added on after. Mathematically and artistically perfect pillars that stand over 100 feet tall that they would have had to dig around to create. all in an area as big as a football field, going 100 feet straight down at its deepest point. Mind you, they did this all as a single piece of rock carved into into a mountain, meaning there was no room for error. Just like sculpting a statue out of marble, if they messed up, they'd have to start all over again, removing an estimated total 400,000 tons of rock, more than the entire weight of the Empire State Building, which no one can explain because all of that rock just disappeared. We have no idea where they put it, and there are no traces of it anywhere. 400,000 tons is a lot of rock to just go missing. This is just one of many among India's mysterious Ellora caves. Over 30 temples, all of which were carved into the side of the mountain. What makes Kailasa different from the rest was that it was built from the top down, defying all rules of conventional architecture. Simply put, the way this temple was built is, by every sense of the word, unexplainable. Historians will tell you it was built sometime around 756 to 773 AD, but as always, that's just an estimate. In fact, it's a terrible estimate, even less accurate than the timeline of the pyramids, as the main source of dating for this temple were land grants. Exactly 2 land grants, inscribed into copper plates that were found hundreds of miles away. These copper plates acted as official documents of legal ownership deeds back in their day, and all these plates did was glaze their king Krishna I for commissioning the construction of the temple, which would have dated it sometime around the 8th century AD. But the plates also contain inscriptions that boast the temple was so breathtaking that even the gods flying overhead stopped in their celestial chariots to admire it. Gods flying overhead? Celestial chariots? I wonder what they were referring to over here. And according to similar legends, this temple was built in just 1 week. But no, that part was just made up. Yet the actual dates on the copper plates, yeah, those were real. Can you see how this gets a little questionable? Which is why it's widely considered among the open-minded that this temple was built a lot longer ago using technology that surpasses ours today. Well, that's because the most impressive part is that this temple is made of basalt, hardened lava, which, if you didn't know, is hard as a motherfucker, ranking between a 6-7 on the Mohs scale of hardness, making it as hard as granite, just as unexplainable as what the ancient Egyptians quarried. They even ran an experiment using modern steel pickaxes on the basalt to see how much rock they can remove in 10 minutes. They timed it, and the results showed that you would have to swing away at it for 3 years straight just to remove a cubic meter of it. Officially, it's said this temple took 18 years to build. At 400,000 tons of rock, that would require 5 tons of rock removed per hour, assuming 12-hour shifts for 18 years straight. 5 tons of rock per hour. Modern steel pickaxes have been shown to remove a cubic meter, which is about 3 tons, in 3 years. Can you see how those numbers just don't add up, like, at all? And given the tight football field-sized area they were confined to working within, they were also limited to how many people can work on this at once. So you can't just say, oh, they had hundreds of thousands of slaves working on this. That would be physically impossible. To put it into perspective, in the 1600s, Mughal Emperor Aurangzeb, definitely butchered that, commanded an army of 1,000 workers to destroy Kailasa Temple as a sort of cultural cleansing of that area after he conquered it. After 3 years of this army of 1,000 workers hacking away at it with steel tools, their mission failed because of how strong the rock was, so they called it off. They did a bit of damage to the statues and scratched off some details, but proved how hard this temple is to even chip, let alone carve out of a mountain from scratch. Now, new investigations revealed some interesting tool marks throughout the temple, with consistent grooves over an inch deep into the rock, meaning a lot of force was involved. Today, we would need industrial-grade hydraulic machines to achieve anything close to this in basalt rock. But the thing is, these tool marks are found in the most narrow and cramped hallways all throughout Kailasa. Corridors barely big enough for a person to pass through, let alone any tools or machines required for the colossal amount of force involved to make these grooves. How on earth did they fit equipment or techniques with such immense power into these tiny areas? And these tools also couldn't just be massive blasters that just deal an insane amount of force. They had to be very precise too, with the amount of detail they carved into the basalt being nothing short of mind-blowing. Artistic precision like this in a material as hard as basalt would require diamond-tipped, high-powered drill bits to achieve today. Yet they did it over 1,000 years ago with chisels and hammers. Now, in Hindu mythology, they claim this temple was built by a deity called Vishwakarma, the divine architect, who, according to legend, was able to manipulate and work with solar radiance, and concentrate it into divine instruments that they used for the temple's construction. Which, I don't know about you, but concentrated solar radiance sounds a lot like laser technology to me. Ancient lasers, implying that this is how they built the Great Kailasa Temple in ancient India, using forgotten knowledge from previous civilizations, or possibly even alien technology they attributed to their gods from above, which honestly makes more sense than the poor excuse of an explanation modern archaeology gives it. But who knows, maybe they're right. Use that brain of yours and make your own conclusion. Or don't, and just blindly believe what Google tells you, you fucking debunkers. Love you guys.
There you go. I gotta get my baby out.
Yeah, got some soul for you.
Hey. Hey. You remember I sung with you the other day, right?
Uh-huh.
I got you 1 million people on the internet watching you. And they
This-
donated $3,000 so far that I'm
What a
about to give all to
blessing.
you.
Are you serious?
I swear. I wish you could see this. I'm recording right now. I'm so sorry.
This guy just left here talking about you.
Man, I
This
can't
guy
get-
just left here talking about you, and I told him, I said, that's my new sister. We just did a song called All Right.
I'm shaking. Yes, they love you so much. You got 1 million people around the world watching.
Are you serious? That
Yes.
means?
They
That's
donated
awesome.
$3,000 so far.
Oh my God.
Ooh, I'm shaking.
Oh my God. Let me ask you something. How can I find your video?
I'm on Instagram. They want your Instagram and your socials.
The only reason I'm not on those is because I can't keep them up. I can't see.
I'm finna help you with all of this. The world loves you. They want to
God,
see you.
Don't make
I
me
like
cry.
his
They want
laugh.
to do
That's so
shows.
cute.
They want to do everything with you.
He said it too. I promise you, this man ain't been 20 minutes leaving here and said that. Okay.
You fine. You fine. I had to bring her with me. You see this man, girl? Y'all, here you go. They want to know your name.
My name is DJ Johnson. My name is spelled D-A-N-V-A. Danva Johnson.
Yeah.
God bless.
Yeah, he really appreciate this. Y'all, look, y'all finna change this man's life.
Listen, somebody in Louisiana sent me a funeral story where a dead woman hijacked her own memorial
man.
show, exposed
Now
a
you're
stolen
talking.
pressure washer with ring camera footage, canceled somebody's solo from beyond the grave, informed her entire family in the process that the house they'd been fighting over no longer existed. None of them could turn the damn projector off. Several of these people are apparently still arguing over it, and at least one of them has threatened to sue the funeral home, the Catholic Church itself, and Facebook. We're going to call the deceased Aunt Bernadette, Bernie for short. Bernie was 82 years old, never married, and had worked at the parish office for about 41 years, which meant she knew every damn baptism, every wedding, every annulment, which that's spicy as hell, and exactly which married men suddenly started attending a Saturday evening mass without their wives. Bernie knew everybody's business, and apparently she knew how to work PowerPoint too, like any good church lady. Before she died, Bernadette gave the funeral home a flash drive labeled Memorial Show Play Before Mass. The funeral director assumed it contained pictures of Bernadette as a child, Bernadette at Christmas, holding babies, normal dead relative shit. No, it did not. The funeral starts. The church is packed. 250, 300 people. The priest is near the altar. Bernie's niece Melissa is greeting people like she had personally organized the Vatican itself. And Bernie's cousin Linda is standing beside the organ in a purple dress preparing to sing Ave Maria. You know that uppity white people funeral song? The lights go down. The projector comes on. The first slide is a beautiful picture of Bernadette holding a magnolia, of course. Everybody goes quiet, weeping a little bit, got the Kleenex out. Then the pictures disappear and the next slide says in all caps, Linda, sit your ass down. You make every funeral about yourself.
Oh
Linda
my
was already
gosh.
holding the microphone. She
What?
looked toward the funeral director. The funeral director looked at the priest. The priest looked up at Bernie's casket. The speakers come on. It was Bernadette's own voice. It said, if Linda is standing near the organ, somebody please unplug the microphone. She will drag Ave Maria out for 11 minutes and I am already dead. Can y'all imagine? Would you have stayed? Because I'd have been sad. Because nobody in that church moved. Good point. Linda said, this is disrespectful in the microphone as it's being unplugged. Bernie's recorded voice immediately said, Linda will now say this is disrespectful. God dang. The dead woman had anticipated Linda's rebuttal. Like any sister already knows, a bitch knows a bitch. Melissa runs toward the sound booth, tells the funeral director to just shut it down. He's hitting shit, the computer freezes, the projector keeps on going. Then the screen changes to ring camera footage. That shit's old. I don't know if y'all got one, but that's worth an investment. It shows Bernie's nephew, Ricky, walking across her backyard at 2:14 in the morning, loading her pressure washer into the back of his truck. The next slide says, quote, Ricky did not borrow my pressure washer. Then he stole the damn thing. Then it's behind his shed under a blue tarp. You couldn't hide nothing from Bernie. Ricky's wife turned toward him and said, What in the hell? What blue tarp is she talking about? This dumbass says, that could have been anybody's truck. The video zooms in on the back window. There's a bumper sticker that says, Ricky's Mobile Marine Repair. The priest quietly sits down. He understands this mass is no longer under his control. Melissa's now climbing onto the chair trying to reach the projector. The funeral director tells her the projector is bolted to the ceiling. Somebody suggests pulling the power. But the church custodian's at lunch, and apparently nobody else knows which breaker controls exactly the fellowship hall. So Aunt Bernie just continues. The next slide is a photograph of Darlene smiling at a crawfish boil, then a picture of Darlene's new teeth. Then the bank statement showing the withdrawal for $4,600. Bernie's voice says, Darlene owes me $4,600.
Oh, wow.
Pause. Darlene closed her mouth so fast the front row heard her molars seek legal counsel. One woman whispered, did she get to the house yet? The house? That was the big fight. Bernadette owned a 3-bedroom house on 6 acres. Real nice. These people were conducting an estate sale while Bernadette was still at the funeral home getting her hair done. Then the screen goes black. Big white letters appear. About my house. The entire church becomes silent. Bernadette says, I sold the damn thing. Melissa screams, you did what? She is arguing with pre-recorded evidence. Bernie continues, I sold the house in March. The money paid for my care because none of you came on Tuesdays. Then the photographs appear showing the house completely empty. No furniture, no china cabinet, no workshop tools, nothing. Bernie says, the remaining money has been donated to the St. Vincent de Paul Society. Somebody near the back says, all of it? Bernadette's recording says, yes, all of it. I do not know whether that was editing or witchcraft, but the timing was perfect. Now people are openly fighting.
Maybe
Ricky's wife wants that pressure washer. Darlene's husband wants to know why he paid for the teeth when Bernadette's apparently paid for the teeth. That's going to be a fight. Linda is still angry about losing her solo. Those kind of people. Melissa is yelling at the funeral director. While all this is happening, a brass band enters through the back of the church just on cue because Bernadette has also prepaid for a second-line procession. Nobody had told the family. The trumpet player walks into the sanctuary, sees 200 people screaming, and beneath the slideshow titled Liars and Thieves, it just keeps playing. That is professionalism. Melissa finally gets the computer restarted and the screen goes dark. Everybody applauds. The final post said, Melissa, if you're reading this, you failed to check the flash drive before the funeral, you dumb bitch. Then, leave it alone. You have finally done something useful, you little moron. Aunt Bernadette had been dead for 3.5 days and was still managing that family more efficiently than any living person in the room. That bitch did not leave them an inheritance. She left them a premier.
A 911 dispatcher
That's
called
epic.
me back about an emergency that I hadn't reported yet. This is Scared with Jess, and today's story is about the call that came from inside my house while I was still driving home. It happened a little after 10 on a Thursday night. I had stayed late at work and was about 15 minutes home from when my phone rang through my car speakers. The number came up as emergency services, so I answered immediately. A woman asked if I was safe, and I thought she had the wrong number, so I told her I was driving and asked what was happening. She said, "We received a disconnected 911 call from this number." I looked at my phone sitting in the cup holder. I hadn't touched it since leaving work. I told her I never called. She asked me to confirm my name and address, and then she said, "The caller reported that someone was inside your home." I nearly missed my turn. I asked what caller she was talking about. The dispatcher said a woman had whispered into the phone for about 20 seconds before the call disconnected. The woman gave me my full address, and she also gave my name. I told the dispatcher I lived alone and wasn't home yet. And there was a pause, and then she told me not to go inside. 2 officers were already on their way. I pulled into a gas station about a mile from my house and waited. The dispatcher stayed on the phone with me, and I asked whether the call could have come from another number, and she said no. It came from mine. I checked my recent calls while she was talking, and there was no outgoing call to 911. The dispatcher asked whether anyone else had access to my phone account, and I said no. And then she asked, "Is there another phone inside your house?" I had an old cell phone in a kitchen drawer, but it wasn't connected to a service plan. She said emergency calls could sometimes still go through from disconnected phones. That explanation made me feel slightly better. Maybe the old phone had malfunctioned somehow. Maybe someone had accidentally triggered it months ago and the account information was still attached to my name. And then the dispatcher said, "The caller was speaking in your voice." I stopped breathing for a second. I asked how she could possibly know that, and she said they record all emergency calls, and the woman had said my name several times. The dispatcher had just heard me speaking long enough to recognize the similarity. I told her people's voices can sound alike over the phone, and she agreed, but she didn't sound convinced. The officers arrived at my house before I did, and they told me to remain at the gas station until they cleared it. I sat there with the engine running, staring at the road that led back to my neighborhood. About 10 minutes later, an officer called and said the house was empty. All the doors were locked and the windows were closed, and nothing appeared disturbed. He asked me to meet them outside, and when I arrived, both officers were standing in my driveway. One of them checked my identification and walked through the house with me. Nothing was missing, my bedroom looked normal, and the back door was still locked from the inside. The old phone was exactly where I remembered leaving it, dead in the kitchen drawer. One officer plugged it into a charger and it wouldn't turn on. I asked if they could listen to the emergency call, and they said the dispatcher was sending the recording. We waited in the kitchen until it arrived, and the officer played it from his phone. At first there was only breathing, and then a woman whispered, "There's someone in my house." It sounded like me, not vaguely similar. It was my voice. The same light rasp I get when I'm trying to speak quietly. The dispatcher on the recording asked whether the caller was hiding, and the woman said, "In the bedroom closet." I looked down the hallway toward my bedroom, and the dispatcher asked if she could see the intruder, and my voice answered, "No, I can hear him walking." In the background, footsteps moved slowly across the hardwood floor. My house had hardwood floors. The footsteps stopped, and then my voice whispered, "He's outside the closet now." The call ended, and no one said anything for a few seconds. One officer checked my bedroom closet again, and it was empty. He told me someone might have spoofed my number and played a recording of my voice. I asked how anyone knew the layout of my house. He said they could have found pictures online, but I had never posted pictures of the inside. And then the other officer noticed the timestamp. The emergency call had been placed at 10:47 p.m. I looked at the clock on my oven, and it was 10:39. The officer checked his phone, the same time. The call was time-stamped 8 minutes in the future. They assumed it was a system error. One of them called dispatch to confirm, but while he was speaking, my phone screen lit up on the counter. The emergency keypad opened by itself, and I watched the numbers 911 appear. And then the call button pressed. I grabbed the phone, but the call had already started. The dispatcher answered, and at the same moment, my ringtone began playing somewhere inside the house. Not from the phone in my hand, but from down the hallway. The officers heard it too, and one of them drew his weapon and motioned for me to stay in the kitchen. The ringtone kept playing from my bedroom. They moved down the hall and searched again, and there was no phone inside, no speaker, nothing. The ringtone stopped, and then a woman began speaking through the call on my phone. My voice, very quiet. "There's someone in the house." It was the beginning of the recording we had already heard. The dispatcher asked for the address, and my voice gave it. I realized we were listening to a copy. The call from 8 minutes in the future was happening now. One officer whispered for me to hang up. Before I could, the woman on the line said, "I'm in the bedroom closet." Both officers were standing in my bedroom doorway, and the closet door was closed. One of them slowly opened it, but it was empty. And then the voice on my phone whispered, "He knows I'm outside now." Something knocked 3 times on the front door behind me, and I turned around. Through the small window beside the door, I saw someone standing on the porch. A woman, same height as me and the same hair, and she was wearing the coat I had on. Her face was turned away, but she had a phone pressed to her ear. The officer shouted for her to show her hands, and she slowly turned toward the window. Before I could see her face, the porch light went out. The officers opened the door, and no one was there. The streetlight was empty, and the call on my phone had disconnected. I left that night, and the officers stayed while I packed a bag, and I slept at a hotel across town. I moved out before the end of the month, and I never received another call from 911, and I never found out who was hiding in my closet. Anyway, good luck sleeping tonight.
But let's play this clip real quick, Deef, because, again, this was released on February 7th, 2020, so over a month before the pandemic started, which was obviously a world-changing event. and all that. And Douglas Rushkoff is talking about some very candid conversations he has had with people who I would describe as very separated from the realities of the average person. Let's run it.
Yeah, I was invited to do what I thought was a talk to like bankers or something at a resort. And instead of me going out on stage to do a talk, they brought these 5 guys into the green room who started peppering me with all these questions about the digital future, like Bitcoin or Ethereum and augmented reality or virtual reality. I figured it was one of these things where it's just these 5 billionaires looking for, investment strategies from someone who's on the ground in the cyber revolution. And eventually they got around to the question of, Alaska or New Zealand. Right? So they wanted to know mainly how to prepare for the inevitable collapse of society. And the question we spent most of the time on was, how do I maintain control of my security force after the event? Because their money's going to be worthless and these guys will turn on them. And it just struck me that here are the wealthiest and most powerful men I've ever encountered, yet they feel utterly powerless to influence the digital future, that the best they can do is prepare for the inevitable collapse and, insulate themselves from the reality that they're creating by earning money in the way they're earning it. And it was sad, but it was indicative of the way these folks are thinking. The high-level billionaires, like the Elon Musks and Jeff Bezos, they want to get off the planet altogether, really just leave us behind. But the mid-level billionaires who can't afford rocket ships, they want to build, bunkers and secret communities and get robot guards and, and to protect themselves from the rest of us. They really think that this is where it's going, or at least they're convinced enough that they're putting in 20-30% of their wealth into these survivalist scenarios, and it's a dark place for us to have gotten. Particularly the people who are building the technological infrastructure.
Yeah, and I think your conclusion to that was.
So this last part we're going to watch of this right here. This is in a nutshell. To me, just encapsulates the complete separation from reality. And I would argue, at the very least, a basic human decency or straight up lack of humanity that some of, and I'm not labeling all people, some of these elites, seemingly the ones that he's talking with, have of all of us. Let's play it.
Okay, so the different timelines you said about.
Yeah.
How do you see how they work? How do they interact? Where are they?
Okay. I'm going to show you because it's easier to describe it. Okay. So. Earth. Okay. Earth. Here's the split.
Okay.
Okay. Each one of these Earths is a different timeline. Okay. Here is reaching into the negativity, and here is into the positivity. Okay, and they are all running concurrently, simultaneously with one another. And as we are moving closer towards the split, these timelines are converging into one. Okay. So this is going like this, and then like this, and then like this, and then like this, until eventually we get to the point of the split. Now here is the important part. On each of these positive timelines, you get an accumulation of karma. The same for the negativity. As they converge, you are going to get things happen. This is the Mandela effect. So the Mandela effect that you see are the convergences of all the different timelines. They're similar enough in all these other timelines, but different. So as the realities merge together, you will notice differences. This is what deja vu is. Deja vu is your memory within another timeline, like it's already happened. It's where something's just converged. Those deja vu moments is you converging with another timeline.
Because it's already happened, but in a different timeline.
Correct, and it's similar enough for you to go, I feel like this has happened before. So each time you sense deja vu, it's a conversion of the the two Earths.
They're merging together.
They're merging together. And as we're getting closer to the spearhead of the split, you're going to have less versions of Earth because we're getting closer to the point. So there comes to a point where there is just two Earths. You have one positive and one version of negative. If you have reduced your negativity and you are positive, this is the evolution of humanity. Everyone who exists within this timeline transcends to the next. Everyone that exists on this timeline will reduce down to the more dense reality. This is the split, and then the process will begin again. This will then split into both positivity and negativity, and each time it grows and expands.
So it just happens again and again and again.
And the same on the negative cycle. The negative cycle in the more dense realm will be happening simultaneously as the other. This is the multiverse as you know it. And it gets to a point, an epoch of time will pass, and the same thing replicates through each layer.
But do we still exist in both?
No. If you have shifted from here to here, you will not ever want to return back.
But what about our friends and family who might not shift with us?
The ones that are not going to shift will simply cease to exist within the timeline.
They'll just disappear,
It will look like disappearances, yes. So, think of it like this. At the minute, the majority of humanity is actually on the positive timeline, okay? So let's go back to the original timeline. Here's the split. So, if you have just two versions of Earth, positive and negative, let's say that 90% of humanity is positive and only 10% is doomed to fall to the next realm. When this happens, can you imagine what it's going to be like for those left on the planet where 90% of the population just cease to exist? You're going to be causing mass panic and chaos, which will further spiral within the negativity. So as a split happens and a mass disappearance happens, this will cause huge panic for the people left behind. The apocalypse, as is prophesied throughout the ages. Whereas here, as you elevate, you will become aware of the splits because you are aligned with it, and you will know that the ones that are no longer here are the ones that dropped.
And we will remember them and miss them.
And we will remember them and miss them, correct. And what our purpose is, as we evolve to the next epoch of time, is to send helpers at the crucial pivotal moments in humanity's evolution to assist those stuck to transcend on the next. That's it.
So, and what about, because there have been cases people have seen about sort of overlapping of timelines, not just with deja vu, but seeing things or seeing people.
Yeah.
Is that the same?
Yeah, that's all the same. The overlapping of the timelines is the convergence. So it's an expansion and then a contraction. We're currently in the final stages of the contraction.
And what about when people sort of, so some people that have like worked in bars or pubs and then they've it's like, maybe not time, but been transported back in time to like Victorian type ages for a split second and seen like people dressed up as, what do you think of that?
So you have to remember, linear time doesn't exist. It only exists when you're in this version of reality. This construct of reality it appears as linear time. When you sit above it, in this lower dense realm, time has to move in one direction. And that's all you can do. You're born and then you die. And that's it. And then you're born and you die. Now your soul, when it comes up to this level, it can go back to any point in time. But once it's in that simulation, the game, if you like, you've got to play it through to the end. So you can incarnate at any point. But you've got to see that lifetime through.
So we could, if we got to the right level, we could...
When we elevate and we're sitting up here, once the split happens, we can view the timeline in any direction we want. Linear time, it just is for us. Time is not a construct that has to go from front to back. It doesn't exist. Yeah. So we can see this timeline at any location. Not only just this timeline, but each version of Earth and each linear path at each point we can see from up here.
And you can view it and
we can view it, correct. It's not as simple as one simple time or one place. It is multiple different versions of reality happening simultaneously, and we are able to see that from above. You simply cannot do that from here. You have to, in the same way as if you was to have two planes with radar pinning down and they're scanning the floor, that can be, you can pick anything up from below you, but you simply can't scan the skies above you. You have to have the radar flipped upside down, in which case you wouldn't be able to see the things below you. Whereas if we're sitting above from a different location, we can see everything that the plane can see, including the plane itself. That is a very crude explanation for what I'm trying to say. We're above that, what you can see, and therefore we have a greater perspective of everything.
And how do we know for sure, is there a way of knowing for sure if we are going to have more positivity and be able to get to that point?
If you're hearing this message, you're on the positive timeline. That's it.
Yay!
Stanley Kubrick helped NASA fake the moon landings, was told not to tell anyone, tried to tell us anyway, then tried to expose the elite, mild classic king rings around the world, but ended up 6 feet under before he did. He was one of the most famous directors in history, known as the most detail-oriented and hidden message visionary in all of filmmaking. He only made a handful of movies during his time, and they're still all being meticulously studied by movie buffs to this day, still finding hidden meanings in them all the time. Every single tiny object, angle, lighting, positioning, words, effects, zooms, backgrounds, everything in his movies is extremely intentional and all has a very specific purpose. Now in the 60s, Kubrick set out to create his first mega hit project, 2001: A Space Odyssey, which is widely regarded as the greatest sci-fi movie ever made, and it kind of didn't make sense with how advanced it was for its time. This movie came out in 1968, like this is how sci-fi movies look like back then. Then out of nowhere, this movie comes out and looks like that. Like some scenes from this movie are so crisp and realistic, they literally look like they were filmed in 8K yesterday. But this movie came out almost 60 years ago. Now, theories went around that Kubrick actually received shadow funding from the US government and NASA to shoot this movie as a sort of test run to see how accurately they can depict outer space on TV screens. And well, Stanley Kubrick f***ing nailed it, to say the least, receiving access to special cameras and equipment that no one else had to show us space like we've never seen before. This movie even had an entire, albeit short-lived, scene of humans on the moon. And do you know what happened just 1 year after Space Odyssey came out in 1968? We went to the moon in 1969. The theory claiming that in return for the funding and technology he received for the movie, Kubrick had to help NASA stage the moon landings, telling him he's not allowed to tell anyone he did or else. But the guilt got to him, and Kubrick needed to somehow get the truth out there. So instead, he took it to his movies to leave clues and hidden messages about what he really did. 12 years later, he releases another breakout hit, The Shining. And this is the one that people say is so littered with clues that tell us Stanley Kubrick helped NASA fake the moon landings that it all but confirms it. And it all starts with the famous room 237, the haunted guest room in the hotel of the movie. In the original book, The Shining, which is what the movie's based on, the room was 217, with Kubrick changing it to 237 for the movie for no apparent reason. Well, it just so happens that the moon is 237,000 miles away from us. Or at least that's what we thought back then. We now have more accurate measures and know it's a little over 238,000. There's even a close shot of the key to the room whose letters can be used to spell moon room, implying he was trying to use this room as a metaphor for the moon. All throughout the movie, characters talk about things happening in room 237 that we're not supposed to know about. When they're in the pantry, we see this product Tang all over the shelves in the back, which is a drink mix similar to Kool-Aid back then. A drink that had an official partnership with NASA at the time, being astronauts' powdered beverage of choice when up in space. Tang even featured astronauts in ad campaigns, like in their 1969 For Spacemen and Earth Families slogan. Boxes all throughout the background also have the number 39 written all over them. Launchpad 39A is where Apollo 11, the first manned mission to the moon, took off from, which looks like this, oddly similar to the carpet pattern that Danny, the kid in the movie, is knelt down on. And if it wasn't obvious enough, when Danny slowly gets up from this launchpad position on the carpet, we see him wearing a f***ing Apollo 11 sweater, which has no connection to the movie whatsoever. He's just wearing it. And again, Stanley Kubrick was a maniac. He would not have a main character in the movie wearing something like this for no reason. The line "all work and no play" in Jack's manuscript, the word "all" is written as A11, as in Apollo 11. The typewriter he works with is a German Adler, which translates in English to eagle, the name of the Apollo 11 lunar lander.
Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed.
And the famous ghost twins in the movie allegedly represent the 2 failed Gemini missions that preceded Apollo. Then there's just the name of the movie itself, 2001, a year where a lot of stuff went down. But hey, I get it. To the average moviegoer, myself included, these hints and hidden messages just seem like absolutely insane reaches. But the mind of a visionary director is just different. Their attention to detail is everything, and they do want viewers meticulously reading into their art. That's part of film. Which leads us to this picture of Stanley Kubrick walking around the set of 2001: A Space Odyssey, and in the background we see Jolly West, a psychiatric consultant for the CIA back in the 50s and 60s, most notably involved with MKUltra, where he led government-funded experiments on brainwashing, hypnosis, coercive persuasion, and dosing unsuspecting victims with LSD. Hold up, why is a CIA-funded psychiatrist whose work focused on brainwashing victims on the set of 2001? Well, 3 years after the release of Space Odyssey, Kubrick comes out with Clockwork Orange, which was pretty much a full-blown expose into the CIA's mind control techniques used in MKUltra, which was classified back then. Stanley Kubrick was flying pretty close to the sun, and we all know what happens to people like that. But then came the final blow, Kubrick's ultimate reveal to the world that got cut out of his final movie ever, Eyes Wide Shut. And I mean, if you want to sleep tonight, probably shouldn't watch the rest of this. In the 90s, Kubrick was working on a movie about secret elite societies, featuring masked gatherings of ultra-rich and powerful performing occult rituals. A movie set in New York City, yet he specifically chose to film it in England, as he knew exactly what he was exposing. After the movie was done filming, during the editing and approval process, apparently the producers cut out up to half of the movie's scenes. Kubrick fought back, insisting to keep these scenes as they were integral to the plot, but the studio execs stood their ground. Rumors being the scenes too closely reflected what actually happens behind closed doors in these elitist circles who own the movie's distribution networks. And literal days before the movie's release in 1999, Kubrick passed away from a sudden heart attack in his sleep. Right. Because that's not even the disturbing part, as the scenes that the studio execs insisted on removing from the movie involved children. I think you can put 2 and 2 together and know what I mean. In the film's most famous scene where the masked elite rituals are finally revealed, the original cut allegedly had rows of children standing in the background, which were edited in post to be just more robed figures wearing masks, which is what we see today. And what's crazy is that if you watch this movie with this original narrative in mind, the plot and the final reveal almost makes more sense than it does without it. Just like how the final scene of the movie is in a children's toy store, which they kept in the final cut. Stanley Kubrick truly was a mastermind of a director, and I don't think anything he did was an accident.
Nope.
Hello. Hi. How are you? Good. How are you? Good. What's your name?
Kenneth.
Hi, Kenneth. I'm Thomas. Well, I'm a medium, and so I connect to people's loved ones, so. Is that something you believe in?
It's not something that I would seek out.
All right.
So where do you get this gift?
I feel from God. God gives different people gifts, you know?
Is this the God of the Bible? Is this Buddha? Is this Allah? Is this Hindu? I mean, which God is it?
I just feel like it's like universe, creator. I just, you know?
Interesting. I'm a pastor.
Oh, okay.
In a church, and
are you open to hearing what I'm getting for you?
Yeah, I am open to hearing. It'll be interesting to see what you come up with.
Okay.
Because I'm very skeptical. I've had people try to do this, and I just stare at them and like, yeah, whatever.
The information doesn't resonate?
Not at all.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's kind of like this cookie cutter reading that they apply to everybody that they see.
I wonder if he's going to be blown away.
So I do feel a female that's very connected to you, like a partner, like a wife energy. I also felt when I was connecting with her that there's a lot of issues in this area. So I would feel like either like lungs, breasts, there's a lot of pressure. That usually means that that's had to do with their passing. And she's just saying that she feels like you did a lot for her. She was blessed that she got to know you. When I connect with her, there is people that are the same. I don't know if there's like 2 kids the same age or something, but she's talking about two kids. I think this is like a daughter or something. And she just feels like you have done a remarkable job with these people. She got like a big smile, but I feel like maybe that's just how she wants to be remembered.
Okay, I've had enough. Is she happy?
Oh, very much so. I mean, I just get a peaceful feeling from her. She's very connected to your kids, for sure. She's talking about twins in the family.
Oh, man. This is spooky. My wife died 9 years ago.
Okay.
Of breast cancer.
Okay.
I've been a single father of 3 daughters, 2 of whom are twins.
Okay.
And it's been a struggle to take care of them, but I've often wondered how I'm doing. And how she would talk about how I'm doing. And I've even wondered how she appreciated the level of care that I gave her when she was sick. We drive from California to Arizona to make sure that she got treatment for her cancer.
I feel like she feels like you're doing a great job. There's definitely an acknowledgement that I would have liked to have stayed longer, but I also feel like she really trusted you, and I feel like she knew that you would make the right decisions.
That's a good thing.
Am I already ready?
I will never forget this experience.
As I strike my bed.
Hearing how well I'm taking care of my daughters and hearing how well I cared for her while she was alive really hit a spot in my heart to let me know that she was speaking through him.
Now you can have peace.
This is me talking myself down, I guess. But I've been standing out here staring at these people's house. Not where the car is, the one next to it. Because that man be sitting on that porch and he ain't came back on that porch yet. I'm waiting on him to come on that porch. God damn, that little boy just fell.
Oh, no. No, help him. Poor guy.
Okay, we get it.
Oh, no, dude.
Hey, he did slide around that motherfucker. Should I go help him?
Yes. Oh, my gosh.
I'm gonna go grab my gun real quick so I can go walk down there and help this little boy.
Oh, my gosh, dude.
Yeah, I done went in the house and I'm walking towards him. His ass still screaming. It's not funny.
Oh, man.
But
It's
the
like,
dramatics
how come
of it all.
come out?
Baby, you're not even trying to get up, babe.
Because he's hurt?
He's not even attempting to get up. And what the fuck? I don't feel safe around this neighborhood no more. First, my dog get attacked. Now this little nigga been out here screaming for 5 minutes and ain't nobody came to do shit.
8 years ago, I bought this abandoned ghost town you see behind me, and it came with over a dozen buildings, 30 miles of mine shafts, and all sorts of cool things. So let me show you some of my favorite spots around town. This is called the Hoist House, and inside that building, there's a mine shaft that goes 900 feet straight down. And starting in the 1800s, they pulled almost $1 billion worth of minerals out of the mine that's in there. So I'll go give you a look. This is called the Union Mine, and this shaft goes 900 feet straight down. So I'll show you what that looks like. You can probably only see about 80 or 90 feet down, and that goes 10 times deeper than what you can see. But this is what built the whole town. But let me show you more. This is where they used to store the dynamite in town. But these days, it's a hidden library.
That's awesome.
All this wood I brought in from the mine and put in these shelves, and all of the books related to mining, and we have different dynamite boxes. And this is a really fun place to get away from the world. This building was originally a brothel called Lola's Palace of Pleasure, owned by a woman named Lola Travis. And right next to it was one of the original assay offices. And this is where you came to determine whether your ore was worth any money.
Yeah.
They would come in here, bring their sample. The guy behind the counter would crush it up, melt it down, tell you how much silver was in your claim. And here is where you learned whether you were rich or not. And I don't know if it was coincidence that the brothel was right. This is one of the original general stores. And these days, I made it into a museum. So anything that I find in the mines or in the different buildings goes in here. And it's just a time capsule of what helped build this town, from the different minerals to the different tools they used and everything else. It's definitely one of my favorite places. This is the theater in town. It used to be a mechanics garage, just that middle building. But over time, the wings were added. And these days, it has some really cool movie theater seats in it. So one day, I'm going to make this back into look like an old Western theater, and we'll host movie nights in here. And this is my house, and originally it was built in the 1870s for the original owner of the town, a guy named Mortimer Belshaw. And it's right in the center of town where I can keep an eye on everything. Plus, I got this great view down into the valley. And this building will eventually be the heartbeat of the town. This is a rebuilding of a hotel that was originally built in 1871 that stood here. And long term, there'll be a bar and restaurant downstairs, 6 rooms upstairs, 2 more rooms over here, and a huge deck to look at the valley. And long term, my hope is to turn Cerro Gordo into a place that people can come up, visit, enjoy the natural beauty, learn the history for many years to come. There's a lot more here, and so if you're interested, I have a YouTube channel called Ghost Town Living, or you can come visit. We're open every day from 9 to 5. Come on up.
The Iranian president penned an open letter to the people of the United States, titling it, "In the Name of God, the Compassionate, the Merciful." Let's read what he wrote, because it's pretty powerful and we all need to hear it. To the people of the United States of America, and to all those who amid a flood of distortions and manufactured narratives continue to seek the truth and aspire to a better life. Iran, by the very name, character, and identity, is one of the oldest continuous civilizations in human history. Despite its historical and geographical advantages at various times, Iran has never, in its modern history, chosen the path of aggression, expansion, colonialism, or domination, even after enduring occupation, invasion, and sustained pressure from global powers. And despite possessing military superiority over many of its neighbors, Iran has never initiated a war. Yet it has resolutely and bravely repelled those who have attacked it. The Iranian people harbor no enmity towards other nations, including the people of America, Europe, or neighboring countries. Even in the face of repeated foreign interventions and pressures throughout their proud history, Iranians have consistently drawn a clear distinction between governments and the peoples they govern. This is a deeply rooted principle in Iranian culture and collective consciousness, not a temporary political stance. For this reason, portraying Iran as a threat is neither consistent with historical reality nor with present-day observable facts. Such a perception is the product of political and economic whims of the powerful. The need to manufacture an enemy in order to justify pressure, maintain military dominance, sustain the arms industry, and control strategic narratives. In such an environment, if a threat does not exist, it is invented. Within this same framework, the United States has concentrated the largest number of its forces, bases, and military capabilities around Iran, a country that, at least since the founding of the United States, 250 years, has never initiated a war. Recent American aggressions launched from these very bases have demonstrated how threatening such a military presence truly is. Naturally, no country confronted with such conditions would forego strengthening its defensive capabilities. What Iran has done and continues to do is a measured response grounded in legitimate self-defense, and by no means an initiation of war or aggression on the lives of the resilient Iranian people must not be underestimated. The continuation of military aggression and recent bombings profoundly affects people's lives, attitudes, and perspectives. This reflects a fundamental human truth. When war inflicts irreparable harm on lives, homes, cities, and futures, people will not remain indifferent towards those responsible. This raises a fundamental question. Exactly which of the American people's interests are truly being served by this war? Was there any objective threat from Iran to justify such behavior? Does the massacre of innocent children, the destruction of cancer treatment pharmaceutical facilities, or boasting about bombing a country back to the Stone Ages serve any purpose other than further damaging the United States' global standing? No, Iran pursued negotiations, reached an agreement, and fulfilled all its commitments. The decision to withdraw from that agreement, escalate towards confrontation, and launch 2 acts of aggression in the midst of the negotiations were destructive choices made by the U.S. government, choices that served the delusions of a foreign aggressor. Attacking Iran's vital infrastructure, including energy and industrial facilities, directly targets the Iranian people. Beyond constituting a war crime, such actions carry consequences that extend far beyond Iran's borders. They generate instability, increase human and economic costs, and perpetrate cycles of tension, planting seeds of resentment that will endure for years. This is not a demonstration of strength. It is a sign of strategic bewilderment and an inability to achieve a sustainable solution. Is it not also the case that America has entered this aggression as a proxy for Israel, influenced and manipulated by that regime? Is it not true that Israel, by manufacturing an Iranian threat, seeks to divert global attention away from its crimes towards the Palestinians? Is it not evident that Israel now aims to fight Iran to the last American soldier and the last American taxpayer dollar, shifting the burden of its delusions onto Iran, the region, and the United States itself in pursuit of illegitimate interests? Is America first truly among the priorities of the U.S. government today? I invite you to look beyond the machinery of misinformation, an integral part of this aggression, and instead speak with those who have visited Iran. Observe the many accomplished Iranian immigrants educated in Iran who now teach and conduct research at the world's most prestigious universities or contribute to the most advanced technology firms in the West. Do these realities align with the distortions you are being told about Iran and its people? Today, the world stands at a crossroad. Continuing along the path of confrontation is more costly and futile than ever before. The choice between confrontation and engagement is both real and consequential. Its outcome will shape the future for generations to come. Throughout this millennia of proud history, Iran has outlasted many aggressors. All that remains of them are tarnished names in history, while Iran endures, resilient, dignified, and proud. This is a drastically different letter than what we're going to hear from Donald Trump in just about an hour's time as he takes to the national airwaves in the United States to update us on Iran. This is what true leadership looks like. From a foreign country that we're supposedly at war with, he's penning a letter to the United States, inviting us to reject what our government is doing to his people.
Seriously, and I've lost so many people over this. I'm not a political person whatsoever. I don't like politics. I don't like religion. I do believe in spirituality. I do believe in a higher being. I do believe in a creator. This is just a moral and ethical thing. What he has been doing repeatedly is wrong, even before he became president. Wrong, 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 immoral, immoral, immoral. How can people not see it? That's what I don't understand. And maybe it's just indoctrination or whatever is going on, brainwashing. I'm not sure, but to me, I'm glad that this happened. I hope that people will not take it with a grain of salt. I hope that people will take this seriously and open their mind, open their eyes, and see what is happening. They're pitting us against each other. That's what they want. They want us to fight. They want us to butt heads. They want us to go on and on and on so they can get away with shit. We need to overthrow them. We need to get rid of them. We need to have a nice cleansing, drain the swamp, start anew.
In the name of a foreign country that is controlling our leaders. This is what measured leadership, true leadership, looks and sounds like.
Very honorable.
Not Donald Trump.
No.
I genuinely thought that I would become less socially awkward as I got older. But in fact, the opposite seems to be happening. I'm out on my walk. I'm wearing this shirt that says, I have rabies. These two guys are coming the other direction. I don't even know if I can tell this story because you're all just going to mass unfollow me. The secondhand embarrassment will be too much to bear.
I'm going to follow you right now.
Okay, so the guy says, do you have rabies? Just being normal. And I said, why don't I bite you and we'll find out? And it wasn't funny at all. It was just fucking weird. Creepy. Didn't help that the guys were really cute. That just seemed to make it infinitely worse. And then, adding insult to injury, the guy said, no thank you.
Oh no.
King Solomon was this guy who was really obsessed with alchemy. I stitched that video, my own video, which feels really weird to do.
I know. I need to learn to do it.
But I found something.
What'd you find?
I was reading the Emerald Tablets of Thoth, and in it starts going into detail.
Is it Thoth? Is it Thol? Is it, what is it?
About when Atlantis was formed, right? So I've got my Kindle because I don't have the actual book in my possession yet.
Yeah.
And it goes into detail on long ago, before Atlantis was formed, there were men who explored the darkness, utilizing black sorcery to summon entities from vast abyss beneath us. They entered this cycle. They were formless beings of a different frequency, living unseen by Earth's children. They could form an existence only through blood. They could live in the world only through humanity. In previous eras, the masters defeated them and drove them down to their origin. However, some remain concealed in dimensions and planes unknown to humanity. They lived in Atlantis as shadows, but occasionally appeared among people. Yes, whenever blood was sacrificed, they emerged to reside among humans. They moved among.
They can only live through blood. You have to make sacrifices in order for them to come through to take possession of or whatnot. Like, imagine how many came through back in the days of the Maya and others who made sacrifice upon sacrifice upon sacrifice at a very high rate of speed.
Among us in human shape, but appeared as men only to the eye. They had serpent heads when the illusion was removed, but appeared as regular men to humans. They infiltrated the assemblies, assuming shapes resembling men. Using their arts, they killed the kingdom's leaders, stole their appearance, and governed humanity. They could be detected only by sorcery. Their true faces could be seen only through sound. Oh my god, I'm shaking.
Yeah, like vibration. And also like the newest thing that I saw. It's not me, like I've seen it before, but it finally like took hold of my ADD brain or whatnot, that when the light goes out, they have like not glow in the dark eyes, but refractive eyes, kind of like cats and other things in the dark.
What's gone now? We used to have.
I also heard recently that people with green eyes refract light as well. That's a pretty true thing. Is it true? I do not know. We did used to have bells everywhere, like on stores, every time the door would open. And then they went to mechanical bells. Ding dong, ding dong. And now, nothing.
Bells everywhere. They're gone.
They are.
I have bells all over my house. I have frequency bells in the front of my house. I have big old wind chimes that look like organs. Organs are gone. Bells are gone.
I have bells on my door to my office here. If you guys don't know, you don't know, but over the last year or probably more, there's been some demonic stuff happening, some possession, aka other not nice things, but I have a bundle of bells at the top of my door and they will not ring. I think I'm going to need some bigger bells.
Church bells are good.
Okay, and also, sorry, I unpaused before I was done. Back in World War II, I believe it was. Was it 1 or 2? I think it's 2. Anyways, they took all of the church bells, all the bells, and melted them down. Supposedly because they needed them for war, but I think they were using magic or something else. So they got rid of all the bells. And not all of them are melted down, so there's no proof. They didn't melt them all down. A lot of them are still sitting there.
Gone. They're gone. You guys. Okay. So they could only be seen by frequency and sound, right? Because they took the humans and used their bodies. So they stole their appearance and governed humanity. They could only be detected by sorcery. Their true faces can only be seen through sound. They attempted to destroy humanity and rule in its place from the Shadow Kingdom. However, realized that the masters were powerful in magic, capable of lifting the curtain from the serpent's face, capable of banishing him back to his origin. They approached humanity and taught the secret, the word that is pronounceable only by a human. They then quickly lifted the curtain from the serpent and threw him out of human society. There's a word. You guys are gatekeeping this? Where's the word? I'm going to keep reading this, but that correlation that I just made with the Philosopher's Stone this morning, I couldn't sleep. I started reading my Emerald Tablets of Thoth. I have like a fat stack of notes. I couldn't stop writing. But once I got to that point, I had to share. And I know I probably look like a crazy person. It's like 1 o'clock in the morning, almost 12:32 p.m.
Go girl.
Or a.m. Jesus, my brain. Oh my God. They took out the bells. We need to get bells.
Yes.
If
I
we
need
have
bigger
the bells,
bells.
we can see the true people.
Oh my gosh. I'm going to start wearing my anklet. That was gifted me.
This all ties in, I swear. So I was talking about how the Bible was going to tie in with Thoth mythologies, Atlantis, and how we were going to spiral around to it. I didn't expect it to happen so darn fast. But the downloads are downloading and they're telling me to pick up the right books as we're going. But the bells, we need sound. We need sound, and what was it?
Vibration.
It was what, frequency?
Yes.
What was, and a word. There's a word. What's the word? Okay.
Bird.
So
I'm just kidding.
Bear with me. I have to find. Their faces can only be seen through sound. And they can only be detected by sorcery. I'm going to say something that's crazy. But I don't know if that's really crazy anymore because I keep saying crazy stuff and people are like, oh my God, me too. So I go into stores and I have social anxiety. I don't know if
me too.
It's just something that's wrong with me. Anyway, so going into stores or going into places, I can feel the person's energy. I have had it to where I have seen somebody's eyes shift in front of me. Like they go pure black. And I'm like, what is that?
I will get out of line and say, oops, I forgot something, which most times I actually did, but it's a very good excuse and I have used it to get away from people.
And I thought I was going completely crazy. Most of my life I've had stuff like this happen where you could feel like the dark energy around them.
Yes.
Or the dark around them. Just dark. They just like it just comes right out of their flesh. And you're like, why are you like this? So what if some of us, that's why they burn the witches.
Yeah. Shh. Girl,
Oh my God, I'm having. We need
Write this
bells.
down, girl.
We need
Write this
big bells.
down.
We need gong bells. We need like frequency everywhere. Because not all of us can see the dark. You can see it on some of the politicians' faces. By the way, this is for entertainment purposes. I'm writing a book. Am I alone in this? Are other people seeing what I'm seeing? Like the dark around them, the dark in their eyes. I have seen people, like I used to be a hairdresser, and I would cut their hair and they'd turn and look at me, and their entire, like, entire, where you got color and almost all the way through to the whites of your eyes were black. It's dark in my house right now. That's why mine are. I have really blue eyes, so not really. They're gray. Anyway, but sound, frequency, it will show the true of them. That's why there's no more bells. They don't ding bells anymore. Growing up, I used to have church bells everywhere where we lived, and like, they don't anymore. They have recordings. They've distorted music even. Music that used to be a certain frequency, they don't have it at that frequency anymore.
Just kidding.
I wonder what frequency it is that distorts them. I wonder how I can figure this out. Do any of you know? Is it further in this book? Is it a different book?
I need to read this book.
What's the word that only humans can speak? This feels like a novel. Like this is so weird. This entire spiritual journey has been so freaking weird. I don't. This feels like somebody wrote a weird novel and we're just living through it.
Dude, that's what I'm saying.
Almost like we're in a movie.
Mm-hmm.
The Truman Show. Like, I know there's truth to some of these things.
Fact is indeed stranger than fiction.
Please help. What's the word? What's the frequency we need? What's the sound of the bell? How big does the bell have to be? And who can make bells? Who can make all the bells? Sound. We need sound. I think most of us know at least one person that we can think right off the top of our head that would be really scared of being around a bell.
In the spring of 1909, a man named G. E. Kincaid entered a fissure on the eastern wall of the Grand Canyon, roughly 40 miles upriver from El Tovar, and did not come out for 11 hours.
Yes.
When he emerged, his hands and face were coated in a reddish dust that did not wash off for 2 days, and he carried a bundle of objects wrapped in oilcloth that he would not let anyone else touch. He told the men from the Smithsonian Institution who had hired him 4 words. There is a city down there. On April 5th, the Arizona Gazette printed a detailed front-page report describing what Kincaid had found. A system of tunnels.
People say this is not true. This was hidden for so long. It came out as a story. They snuffed it, as they do so many different things. Now it's out again. You guys, we need to get down there. We need to penetrate the impenetrable. We need to see for ourselves. We're going to need some choppas. We're going to need... No, I'm just kidding. But I do believe we are the original Egypt, the original... I want to say promised land. There's a different name for it. And then Egypt moved overseas. We are the original Egypt. This is intense.
Extending more than a mile into the rock. Chambers carved from stone with a precision that was difficult to attribute to hand tools. Tablets inscribed with symbols resembling Egyptian hieroglyphics. Copper instruments polished to a finish that does not occur naturally. Statues in postures belonging to no known culture of North America. The article was never reprinted. Within a month, the Smithsonian stated that it possessed no records of Kincaid, no records of any expedition to the Grand Canyon that year, and no comment beyond that. No confirmation, no denial, just absence, as if the man and the expedition he described had never existed.
But it did.
But the Hopi, the people who had lived on the cliffs above that canyon long before the word Arizona was spoken aloud, carried...
You know what I think this is right here? A tree from back in the flood days that was cut down so the giants would have nowhere to go when there was the great flood. Are you team stump or are you team rock? Which could be volcano or whatever.
A tradition their elders passed to each generation and did not share with outsiders until the closing years of the 20th century. Do not enter the tunnels on the eastern wall. Not because they are empty, because what is inside was here before us. Kincaid did not listen, and the question is not what he carried out of the canyon in that oilcloth bundle. The question is why every trace that he had gone in at all disappeared faster than the dust on his hands. The piece appeared on page 1 of the Arizona Gazette on April 5, 1909. It was not a short item buried between advertisements. It ran more than 2,000 words, filled with specific measurements, directional descriptions, and the kind of detail that suggests either first-hand reporting or an extraordinarily committed fabrication. The entrance, the article stated, was approximately 1,400 feet below the rim, accessible only by a narrow ledge that a man could walk single file. Inside, a main passage extended roughly a mile and branched into dozens of lateral corridors, each one opening into carved chambers arranged in rows like a honeycomb, their ceilings blackened by what appeared to be centuries of torch smoke. The largest chamber, according to the account, could seat 50,000 people. The expedition had been led by a Professor S. A. Jordan, described as operating under the direction of the Smithsonian. Kincaid had been the field man, the one who entered first. The article named granaries filled with seeds that had not decomposed. It described walls covered in symbols arranged in orderly rows. It described a crypt containing remains in postures that the expedition members could not associate with any burial tradition native to the region. And it described a single chamber at the deepest point of the system that Kincaid called the shrine, containing a seated figure carved from stone, cross-legged, holding an object in each hand that the article declined to identify. The Arizona Gazette was not a tabloid. It was a regional daily serving the territory that would become a state 3 years later. The geographic specificity alone, the exact distance from El Tovar, the elevation of the entrance, the description of the river current at the access point, reads like a man describing a place he had been, not a place he had invented. The Hopi do not call the Grand Canyon by the name the Spanish gave it. They call portions of it Untupka, and they regard specific locations within it as among the most sacred places on earth. Central to Hopi cosmology is the concept of emergence, the belief that humanity has passed through multiple worlds stacked beneath one another, each destroyed or abandoned before the people climbed upward into the next. The current world is the fourth world. It was reached through an opening in the earth called Sipapuni. The exact location of Sipapuni is not disclosed to outsiders, but Hopi oral tradition places it within the Grand Canyon, near the confluence of the Colorado and the Little Colorado rivers, on the eastern side of the gorge, the same side where Kincaid entered his tumble. Among the instructions passed from elders to initiates, one prohibition recurs across clans and across centuries: documented by ethnographers only after Hopi leaders chose to share fragments of it in the 1970s and 1980s. The tunnels are not to be entered. The prohibition is not about structural danger, bad air, or falling rock. It is specific, and it is old. What lies inside those passages was here before the Hopi arrived in the Fourth World. It belongs to a time underneath, a previous cycle whose remains were sealed when the people emerged into the sunlight. The elders who carried this
Seriously, you guys, if we keep going with this chunk business, we're going to be underground again. I hope you guys have been stocking up on your water and your food and stuff. For the preamble, which is survival of the fittest, and then there's the underground because of nuclear fallout, etc. We gotta prepare.
tradition did not describe what was inside because the prohibition was absolute enough that no Hopi who honoured it would have seen the interior.
I love this place.
The warning was not born from experience. It was born from inherited memory, carried from a world that came before this one, preserved in language the way other civilizations preserve things in stone.
Mm-hmm.
And then in 1909, a man who knew nothing of the Hopi, nothing of the emergence, nothing of...
Let's talk about the taser company that bought a police state and how I think it's worse than Flock and somehow...
There's a place in Ohio known as Helltown, and in this place, many people have reported feeling extremely uneasy when coming here. To some people, this isn't surprising, considering the horrifying events that occurred many years ago. Helltown was founded by a group of Native Americans who tragically lost many of its people in a gruesome battle between settlers and colonial troops. A lot of Indians died here, but those who survived had left Helltown in search of another home. Fast forward to present-day Helltown, and people are deeply afraid of coming here alone. Many believe that the land is cursed, given the chain of bad luck that ensued when the settlers moved in. On a certain night, Chris Hill, who you might recall from previous videos, decides to visit Helltown. What he captures on camera is eerie, to say the least. As Chris walks through a dense forest, he finds an old barn house. It's from here on out when things get weird.
I'm going to pause on this really quick and just say, here in about 4 minutes, I want to switch over to following and see what's going on over there. So far tonight, we have been checking out For You. And 4 more minutes for following.
It's the barn of Helltown.
Now, nothing too strange happens here, but when Chris decides to explore beyond the barn, things take a very creepy turn. Watch.
Yeah, this is kind of creepy.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it's an old tree. I love that. Is that an old barn?
It's like a little shack.
Is that Uncle Thomas?
I'm surprised this barn is still standing despite how old it is. What the hell is that? What the fuck?
Coyotes?
What the fuck is that?
Those coyotes.
It goes without saying, but Chris was totally spooked. Somewhere not too far from him, a bunch of howling noises are heard. Understandably, he starts to get anxious. Although it's unclear as to what this was, it seems more than likely that a pack of coyotes were howling collectively. Regardless, coyote or not, the sudden cries coming from the pitch darkness had Chris on edge. But as if tonight couldn't get any more creepy, this happens. Not long after hearing the howling noises, he proceeds to explore the rest of Helltown. As he walks with caution, he immediately stops.
I keep hearing something. It sounds like it's following me.
I heard like a squeaking. Like a dress or long pants or something. What is that? I see the eyeballs. What is that? Wait a minute.
Something's over there.
I saw the reflective eyeballs.
What looks to be a pair of glowing eyes appear in the distance. It seems to be gazing at Chris as it hides behind the grass. It's as if it were stalking him. Now Chris immediately knew that this was a living thing after seeing it hide away. He further adds that whatever this was had to be taller than the grass around him. Mind you, that the grass was at least 6 feet tall. Given all that's happened before, Chris figured it was best if he left the place at once.
God, this is creepy.
Dude, seriously. Chris, you are brave. These guys going out there by themselves. Are you wearing space diapers? Oh, it depends. But yeah, that's super creepy AF.
What was supposed to be a fun urban exploration video turned out to be something completely different. Like others who came here before, viewers believe the rumors to be true. Something strange resides in Helltown. Whether it's something paranormal or something else, many agree that it's best to stay away from this place. Who knows what Helltown has become ever since the tragic incidents that happened in the past.
Do you know who Jared Kushner really is?
No, and I'm sorry, dude, but we're late for going to who I'm following. And I hate to say I follow people, but these are places I like to see more videos from, and hopefully we get something good.
It is the unvaccinated who are the problem, period, end of story.
The only people that you can blame, the only people you can blame, this isn't shaming, this is the truth. Maybe they should be shamed, but the unvaccinated.
It's time to start blaming the unvaccinated folks, not the regular folks.
Anyone you came into contact with will blame you, as will the rest of us who have done the right thing.
And all of these people are paid off by the oligarchy, the people that have been in power for, I want to say millennia, because centuries doesn't even cover it. Forever. Did you get the vaccination? I really hope you didn't, because it really, really did a lot of damage.
By getting vaccinated.
Because frankly, we know that we can't trust the unvaccinated.
I think it's time to get our moral house in order, Anderson. It's the unvaccinated who are the threat.
We've been patient,
But our patience is wearing thin.
The unvaccinated, a group that includes children and people acting like children. And the rest of us are starting to get pissed off. The vaccinated feel the unvaccinated are making me upset or angry.
I got my first 10,000 followers on TikTok in 2020 by being insistent that something was wrong, that this man and everybody else was not telling us the truth, that those shots were dangerous. They wanted it too badly. I stood firm in the middle of one of the biggest psyops to.
You know what? My husband was in a medically induced coma for 3+ months. He had a 5% chance recovery rate. If you could hear the story about what happened to him, what trials and tribulations he went through, your mind would really be blown. And guess what? He's still not vaccinated. We are not vaccinated.
Ever happened. Before then, I had never seen that type of targeted villainization of an entire group of people. And baby, it worked like a charm, because I will never forget being called a murderer, being told I was immoral and selfish and a terrible person. My own stepfather told me to pick out my toe tag and slammed the door in my face. I argued with loved ones over it. As much as people wanted to shame and guilt me and insult and villainize me, to wish harm upon me, it didn't matter. If I know in my heart that something is wrong, and I know in my heart that I am doing the right thing, no matter what that right thing may be or how it is perceived by the public. So please keep that in mind when you come into my comment section about freaking Brian Koberger. I will not stand on something unless I believe that something is truly wrong and I am doing the right thing. Once I have decided that, there is nothing you can say. There is no amount of insulting my character or my intelligence that can shame me, guilt me, or force me into changing my mind or agreeing to some shit.
Okay, so I don't know why you had to go there, because the sheath to his knife was found on the scene. Different other things of his, so far as genetically and stuff. Fingerprints, etc., were found there on the scene of the crime. I know that you really big into defending him and saying he didn't do it. Maybe he is the fall guy. Maybe he's the fall guy to the point where they had all those things which could be printed onto glove fingers and squirted from a bottle, this and this and that and that. I don't know. I just really feel within my knowing, beyond knowing, I don't know how I'm knowing, but I'm knowing that he did do it. But girl, you got your gifts too, so...
It that I know is not correct. So please know, you cannot weaponize morality against me, because I have my own morals that are set in stone. And I remember very well what was going on the last time y'all wanted to use morality as a weapon. The propaganda machine during COVID has reminded me a little bit of the propaganda machine that goes into motion immediately.
If you haven't heard by now, AI companies are buying old books and destroying them.
Yes, I heard this earlier. So they're taking the binding off, they're feeding it through page by page. Hopefully pages don't get stuck together and people are really fucking on top of their job. But after they send them into the copier or whatever, they destroy it. Why? Why repeatedly through history do we have to destroy our knowledge that we've gained? Oh, well, we got it here in the AI, the good old AI. Well, guess what? The good old AI can be destroyed. Maybe the good old AI is going to turn into another set of crystal skulls with nobody knows how to unlock. Keep all versions of the knowledge available to us, please. Thank you.
Thanks to so many of you who informed me of this, did a little more research, and found out that this is in fact true. They are buying old books, cutting the spines, and feeding these books through AI machines to to gather the information within these books. That is just heartbreaking to even see that that's being done as somebody who really.
And guess what? It has been, I want to say, about 15 years. I have been hoarding books. And I've been asking myself, why? Are you ever going to read these?
Really loves antique books. Watching them be destroyed like that actually pains me. But like I said, I looked this up, and yes, antique and out-of-print books are being bought in large numbers and destroyed by artificial intelligence companies using a method called destructive scanning. So they buy these books in bulk. AI labs purchase old books by the pallet or thousands. They cut the spines using hydraulic machines, scan through high-speed scanners, and digitize.
Okay, put a little pause thing there. I need to start going back to Durango Library. I did quit my caregiver job because I'm empathic, and for me, like, energies are a really big thing. Some people can work this job and be okay. It was eating me alive. I need to start going back to Durango Library and once again building up my library for times to come, because they're just repeatedly giving away books, very nice books, very important books, for free. And I think it's the whole government and oligarchy and whatever else is in power going in there and saying, we need to get rid of this version of books, paperback, hardback, yada yada. We need to compute this. We're going to break this all down into data. Slowly but surely, they're giving up books. Really good books. Maps books, books about trails, books about food, books about canning, pickling, jarring. Go to your local library and look for them giving away books. We're going to need to hold on to these because they are going to be mass destroyed.
The books for AI training data. So I looked into this, and the company who is buying these books is a company called Anthropic. Anthropic is a large AI company who is run by stockholders, as it says here, that the board of directors is elected by stockholders and our long-term benefit trust. As explained here, current members of the board and long-term benefit trust are listed below. So these are the board members and the LTBT trustees. When I looked up who the stockholders are, I wasn't surprised to see that the largest stockholder is Amazon, Google, and Microsoft. So that kind of tells me all I need to know about this company and how they're making their decisions. Yeah. So the questions we need to ask is, can we do anything about it? Can we stop them from doing this? From some of the research that I've done, it seems that they aren't buying books like the ones I have here. They're buying books that are kind of random and not something that is like in high demand, like books on ceramics and stuff like this to teach the AI models. But either way, destroying books is heartbreaking as somebody who loves old books, no matter what the book is. And we can't rely on AI to actually hold that forever because AI.
This is not the first time in the history books have been destroyed. Even in recent history, like the 50s and 60s, and then go back from there. Probably even the closest I remember is taking books out of schools because people are trying to pervert our children. Our children that are born today are born with a different mindset, with a different intelligence, with a whole different thing going on. They are booted up for what's about to hit us. The shit that's about to hit the fan. But no. Ancient libraries, all kinds of things have been burnt down, destroyed. Houses have been taken over, and books have been taken out and destroyed. This is not the first time. These books right here that are right next to her, wow. That's amazing. They are still there. Thank God to the hoarders of the past. I'm not saying like afford every little thing, but knowledge is a very, very big one.
Is a computer system that could fail at any time. And on top of that, legally, they aren't allowed to actually share those books that they have copied and destroyed, because that would get them into legal ties. And also, I found that
copyright.
The only way for them to buy and copy into their AI models legally old books is to destroy them afterwards. They aren't allowed to redistribute them.
That's what I'm saying.
It's a whole mess. But all I know is I'm going to keep buying these old books, as many as I can, and sharing them with you guys. Preserve them.
And like I said, go to the library. I think they are, against their will, having to get rid of books slowly but surely. They're like slowly funneling them out. Go there every day if you can. If not, every week on a busy day. I don't know. There is some important stuff out there. Everybody get an atlas. We're not going to have maps forever. Get a damn atlas.
To share and pass on to my children, and you guys should do the same. And if you see anything really good that you want me to look into buying, let me know. And I do plan to eventually see what I can do about copying these books and having them available for you guys as well. Because I think preserving print copies of books is more valuable than anything.
Me too.
Downloadable or on AI or anything like that. So let me know your thoughts on this whole situation, guys, and God bless.
And I would not know how to look for. The 10th light is called the Watchers.
Okay, so this is from Terra space X space history. If you want to look on TikTok, if you're just listening right now. And underneath it says, the Sumerian tablet that describes the sky before the moon, AE, and what humans saw every night. And then up above, on the main screenshot, oh my gosh, look at this history and devastation. The Sumerian tablet that describes the sky before the moon and what humans saw every night.
And the description of the Watchers is where the tone of the tablet changes. Up until this point, the 12 lights have been recorded in the neutral voice of an astronomer. Notes on position, brightness, movement. But when the tablet reaches the 10th light, the voice becomes cautious. The Watchers, the tablet says, were 3 lights arranged in the shape of a triangle, dim, barely visible against the darker portions of the sky. But they were always in the same place. And, more importantly, they always faced the Earth. The tablet uses the word for face here. It says the 3 Watchers face downward. It says the geometry of the triangle they formed was oriented so that the flat side was always turned toward the ground. The scholars, when they came to this line, wrote nothing at all in the margin. They just underlined the passage 3 times and moved on. The scholars, in the appendix of their working papers, wrote a single sentence about the Watchers that appears nowhere else in the notes. They wrote that the tablet's word for the flat face of the triangle was the same word used elsewhere in Sumerian texts to describe the inside of a lens. The surface a lens turns toward what it is watching. They wrote nothing further. The 11th light is called the fading. The only light on the tablet the Sumerians recorded as changing over human generations. According to the tablet, the fading had once...
Okay, so like I said, this is part 3. If you want to go to Terra, T-E-R-R-A-X, history, T-E-R-R-A, space, X, space, history, and start from part 1, feel free to. I'm going to skip this, and we're going to move on.
Hey, who's ready to sue Facebook?
Oh my gosh, it's Doc Skinner talking about suing Facebook.
All the trouble they...
Okay, Papa Doc, hold on. I'm trying to open this so I can see. We were right. Time to sue Zuckerberg and take Fauci to court for the AIDS epidemic, which he led the charge in the 80s, just like COVID. COVID was phase 2, but his pardon doesn't cover his part in the AIDS epidemic. Wink, wink. Okay, let's see what my friend Doc, now known as Papa Doc Shop, has to say.
Caused
all the demonetization, shadow banning, the diminishing of someone's character, losing friends and family because of it, because Facebook said I was spreading lies.
Uh-huh.
And look, lo and behold, Doc Skinner was right.
He was.
It was all a bunch of BS. It was all for Fauci to make his money and become Mr. Popularity.
Yep.
And you, Zuckerberg, by the way, who have suspended my account, you can go to hell.
Seriously?
You're a snake, and everybody sees it now. The only reason why you're still in power is because you made enough money to pay people to kiss your ass. And ever since I challenged you to that cage match years before Elon and you, years before you started training, I challenged you on my show, and you guys deleted that show within minutes, and removed it, and then shadow banned me from that point on. All because I was telling truths.
Yes.
Not fake news, not,
Hey, Papa Doc, you're going against the agenda.
What did you guys do? Lies.
Yes.
Fact checking and all that crap.
Yeah.
And
that garbage.
Your people weren't even legitimate fact checkers. It was just, we don't want him to get through with his word and message to the world, so we're just going to tell everybody he's full of shit. And you did that to hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people. People lost jobs, friendly.
Not only that, they're getting rid of accounts like docs, and they're keeping accounts there that are fake. They're selling fake shit that is bad for you. It's rancid. It's bad.
Friends and family, opportunities, their homes, in some cases, literally family and friends to death because they couldn't go to their funerals or watch them in their last moments of breathing. I mean, it was, dude, and Zuckerberg, you are a huge head to this, this what do you call this snake with all the heads on it? That's what you are.
I can't even think of the name right now either. Multi-headed snake.
And I'm not on Facebook anymore because you deleted me and then you suspended me. So I could give a rat's ass what you think, but the world needs to know you're a piece of shit, and we all need to take you down and just sue the hell out of you for all the lives you, Zuckerberg, you and your team of people did to us. And I'm looking for any attorneys, law firms that are willing to take the case, and let's go after this motherfucker. And let's show that all these people, let's hold them all accountable.
Dragons! That's right! Andrew Tate and his brother had a problem. Y'all remember Andrew Tate, right?
Yeah, you remember Andrew Tate, right? Him and his nasty ass brother, his two nasty ass mofos.
Red pill content guy teaching young men how to be men, but the whole time
Manly
just turning
men.
them into incels and scamming them for money. That Andrew Tate. Anyway, he had a problem. He was just arrested recently. Now, he was arrested because somebody snitched on him. Now, let me show you a picture of who snitched on him. It was himself. Andrew and his brother both got arrested because they snitched on themselves. They stupid.
Yeah.
Now, let's get into it. But first, we got to
Fucking
go
dumb
back
motherfuckers.
before Andrew Tate doing the whole red pill content to how he made his money in the first place. You see, what Andrew and his brother would do is they would get
Levi, he's on to something.
girls of a certain age demographic that I can't say. They would get them to come to a house. They would have these girls make videos, those types of videos online. They would get the money from those girls, and then they wouldn't let them leave. And in Tristan Tate's words, they would get the usernames and the passwords from these girls, so the girls would especially have a reason to stay. He said, man, there was this one girl, she got her username and password. I went in her room and I jacked it up. And I said, I know what you did. On top of everything, they would watch Netflix. If you don't know what that means, look in the comments. With the girls of this certain age. Now, how do I know all this? Well, their snitches told me, see, they couldn't help themselves. They thought what they were doing was so cool They had to share this with the world. And they're doing this on numerous occasions. I'm going to pull out a random occasion for you right now. Andrew Tate said on an interview, yeah, I was dating this one girl. Her name was Vivian. She's 21 now. I've been dating her for 6 years.
Mm-hmm.
I said 21.
She's 21 now.
Didn't I tell you that was stupid? Oh, you're not listening to me. On one occasion, Andrew Tate fixed his fingers to type this on Twitter. Now, what he did was so illegal, we got to play a word association game here.
In his own...
You know, in LA, like when it gets super jam-packed in rush hour, traffic happens. Well, turn that word traffic into a verb. So he types in, I miss doing this. I miss that. I love doing that. The Romanian government said, hey, yo, they pull up to the crib. They knocked on the door. Do. He said, who is it? They busted in SWAT gear. That's how heinous his crime was. They said, Bunsimeni le la spate.
Yeah.
Andrew said, do you know who I am? The police said, Bunsimeni le la spate, playboy. Andrew said, ooh, that tone is universal. Okay. Andrew Tate and his brother were locked up. But he had a friend, and his friend's name was Donald Trump. You see, Barron Trump, the son of Donald Trump, was a big fan of these influencers, Andrew and Tristan Tate. Makes sense, right? And he said, Daddy, they arrested my favorite influencer.
Daddy.
Donald Trump said, well, that just won't do, will it? So it said because of this, Donald Trump may or may not have pulled some strings, and the brothers, Andrew and Tristan Tate, were released from their Romanian jail. But the United Kingdom slides in and says, we got some charges too, by the way. And by the way, these charges ain't no little charges. Multiple women are coming out saying, Andrew did this to me, Tristan did that to me. So we're talking about decades upon decades, by the way, type charges. United Kingdom said, come through. We need to talk to you real quick. Andrew, Tristan, we need to talk to you real quick. Andrew and Tristan said, ooh, okay, we're going to get right back with you. They decided to fly straight to the United States, the land.
After these messages, we'll be right back. Oh, yeah.
Of Donald Trump. The United Kingdom said, you think that's going to stop us? Have you heard of the word extradition? You see, what extradition means is if my criminal comes to your country, you better send him back when I want him back. And this was written in a treaty between the United States, the United Kingdom, multiple other countries. This ain't just no random law. Andrew and Tristan said, ooh, Donald Trump, Romania bust in. They said, United Kingdom, no, we want him. We still got those charges on him. We want to give him life. United Kingdom said, no, we want to give him life. Romania said, no. Andrew and Tristan said, ooh, that's not good. They looked at their lawyer. They said, we good? The lawyer said, The brothers looked at each other and said, all right, as soon as we touch down, we better just try to talk to Donald Trump. As soon as they touch down in the United States of America, the U.S. of A, the governor of Florida, because they touched down in Florida, boom, comes a knocking. As soon as they touch down, feds rush in, confiscate everything. Andrew and Tristan said, nah, ain't this the land of Donald Trump? What y'all folk doing? Ron said, nah, those charges y'all got crazy. I gotta do something. Now, Ron is a staunch Trump ally, but if he let them run around doing whatever they want, he gonna look crazy, right? Here's where things start to get wicked. Them folk, Andrew and Tristan Tate, running around the United States, running around Florida, having a good time, partying, turning up all over social media. The people of Florida said, Ron, now it's kind of hard for Ron to do anything because his father's name is Donald Trump. And he don't know how the brothers and Donald Trumps really get down. Whole time the brothers making tweets saying like, we love Donald, that's our dog. Like we came to the United States because this is a great country made by Donald, all that. Ron kind of like, I don't know how I can move for real. But Donald ain't said a word because of the whole Epstein charge things. Remember that? See, the Tate brothers basically...
Look at me. I didn't do anything. Remember me? I reported it right before they got busted because I got word they were about to get busted. I know they have records on me, so therefore I called 911. And I was like, hey, it's me, Donald Trump.
Got the same charges as Epstein and all that. So how Donald Trump gonna look if he comes out supporting the two brothers? So Donald ain't said a word. And to make matters worse, remember I told you they're stupid. Andrew gonna go on an interview, fix his mouth to say, yeah, when we landed, the governor of Florida took all of our stuff. That's how I knew all that. And he said, but they think it's gonna be easy. I'm a Navy SEAL with it. They act like I don't wipe my phone every night. Yeah, they're not gonna find evidence that easily. Now, why would an innocent man say something like that? So the people in Florida pull up and say,
if you're innocent, you're gonna be wiping down your shit. No, you're not. You're just gonna be leaving shit laying around everywhere. Take it from me. I've seen innocent individual. I've lived with him, I guess, but
Ron said, you just gonna let a criminal that do that sort of stuff just run around our state like that? Ron said, no, y'all, not like that. He said, oh, when the UK come a knocking, the UK came a knocking. They said, hey, Ron, we want him now. Ron said, I want him too. Give me 5 seconds. Same day delivery, them police go over and book him and his brother. Throw him in a cell. Andrew said, you're making a big mistake. Donald? Nobody said anything.
No,
he said,
I don't know you.
Donald!
Why you
Nobody
telling
said
me?
anything. Because some moves are so stupid,
at
even
him.
Donald Trump won't do them. If he releases those Tate brothers, one, that's sacrificing a whole treaty with the United Kingdom. And two, it's going to bring back that Epstein conversation in full force. Oh, Donald Trump sides with people who do this? Oh, I see. So Donald Trump is keeping his mouth shut and hiding in the corner. Now, I do want to note, if he does say something or do something, that would be very suspicious, wouldn't it? You got to think why he would sacrifice everything for two alleged criminals. But so far, Donald has not said a word, and the two brothers are sitting in the cell waiting to get shipped off to the UK where they can face justice for their crimes. Whole time, Romania's sitting in the back saying, we got next.
Another video with how you think and how I look at things. Let me show you how the media is playing you, or how you have not trained and programmed your brain to be able to look at things differently. See how Donald Trump is manipulating the world, and I'm going to pinpoint exactly for you where, how, all the dirty tricks. Let's watch the video first, and then I'm going to break it down for you.
Prime Minister Netanyahu does disagree with you on the F-35s to Turkey. Are you going to tell Prime Minister Netanyahu opposes sending F-35s to Turkey? Are you going to tell him?
Look, Turkey's been a great ally for me. You know, I think he's done a very good job. Did a good job with Syria. He's a friend of mine, and nobody tells me what we should be selling. And Turkey's been a tremendous ally for me. It was up to Turkey. Turkey's not a big fan of Israel. You know that, right? And not a big fan of Bibi. But he is. They've been great for me. Turkey has been great. Very powerful country, by the way. Tremendous. Military, very big military, very powerful military, has a lot of great equipment.
So, when you look at this video, first thing that you need to know is the blueprint rules for everything. Journalism. What's the blueprint rule? Yes? Are they free? Can they speak their opinion? No, they can't. So this journalist that is asking Donald Trump this question, this is all pre-planned, yes? The way that question is formulated is to create an idea inside your head. Now we have established that, you ask yourself this, what is the idea that they want to create in your head? Here, three parties get discussed. Israel, Bibi, Donald J. Trump in the United States, weapons, yes, fighter jets being sent down to Turkey. How I look at it and how you would look at it, you would just take it as a normal news. I look at it as another dirty game being played. So first they want to tell, the reporter is asking Donald Trump that Bibi is not happy with you sending fighter jets to Turkey. That is to automatically program you to thinking that Bibi is some sort of authority. And at the same time that Turkey is a threat. And remember, I'm explaining what they want you to understand. Trump goes on to give you the real important information with his response. At first, Turkey is a great ally of mine. Erdogan is a great friend of mine.
Yes.
He has done an excellent job in Syria, telling you that he is with them on the table all in full. What happened in Syria? I'll leave that for another video.
Yes.
Then he goes on to inform you guys of, nobody has got control over me. I can do what they want. Turkey is very powerful. They are very capable. Blah, blah, blah. He is confirming to you the threat, the real threat out there for Israel and who is next. And before I explain to you exactly what the whole thing is, they want to show you that United States and Israel are not acting as one, yes, and that nobody has got control, blah, 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 playing the good guy, bad guy tactic. And let's get down to the breaking down part of the theater that they are setting up. So let me remind you of a couple of...
Guys, I need your help. My zestiest bestie is being stalked by TikTok.
No.
Well, shit. Didn't go.
Okay. Mr. Knightley here. Trump orders UAP whistleblower NDAs waived. July 23rd, 2026. What is this?
Coming on this soon. Yeah, as I said to you guys before, I wouldn't be doing as many videos because I've got a lot of stuff going on at the moment. But this one is significant, and it's simply because it moves the needle. It moves the needle a lot. This is one of the biggest UAP-related developments of the past week because it directly addresses a long-standing claim from many alleged whistleblowers that they were constrained by lifetime security agreements or NDAs. So we know that a lot of these whistleblowers that have been coming forwards have been gagged, effectively, by NDAs that they've signed with said agencies, whether that's through the CIA or whether it's through private aerospace firms or whatever. They're not allowed to freely speak publicly, like a congressional hearing, on matters concerning or pertaining or related to the NDAs that they've signed on said crash retrieval, reverse engineering, biologics, etc. But this is what's going on. So according to an exclusive report from Fox News Digital, President Trump has directed the Department of War and the US intelligence community to waive prior non-disclosure agreements, NDAs, for former government employees and contractors specifically for the purpose of cooperating with official UAP investigations. So the order applies to people who wish to speak to the Pentagon's AARO, All Domain Anomaly Resolution Office. You know how I feel about them. The President's UAP Task Force, PURSUE, which this is the first time I'm hearing of this. I've been out of the loop for a little while, guys. Sorry about that. It does not authorize people to simply go public or release classified information to the media. But what this means exactly, or what officials did say exactly, are a senior administration official told Fox News Trump directed the Department of War and intelligence community to allow former government employees and contractors with relevant UAP information to meet with AARO or PURSUE and have their prior NDAs abrogated. Now, I don't know about you, but that is some significant news, and that's simply because this has been the biggest fork in the road so far. This has been the North Wall, okay? Like, this has been the wall of the North, like, the entire time. And Trump's trying to basically yank it down so that these guys can come freely and start disclosing information. And I'm sure there's many of them. I'm sure there's tens of dozens of these people that are desperate to get this information out to the general public. So I think this is a really significant thing to be talking about, which is why I'm doing it. Again, I'm not going to be coming on here nowhere near as frequently as I was, simply because I think there's a lot of smoke and mirrors at the moment, and I only want to give this stuff that I truly believe is relevant to the cause,
want us to
and
feel
that can
like
help
we're
push the needle,
crazy.
because otherwise it's just, it's nonsense. And I came on here with the intention of informing people on matters related to UAP and congressional movements, and that's what I'm doing. And I'm going to stay true to the cause 3 years later. I'm still going to keep doing that. So, and I know I have to reiterate that a lot because some people think I'm just, not interested. I am. I think it's important that we talk about the things that are relevant. Now, there's a lot of relevant stuff, but this is the most significant of all those things in some weeks. So another senior official emphasised this is not a blanket declassification order. Witnesses still go through official government channels. Information received will then be reviewed through the normal declassification process. Material deemed releasable would ultimately be made public. For years, numerous UAP witnesses have claimed they stayed silent because they believed their security agreements prevented them from speaking. Among those making similar arguments over recent years are figures such as David Grush, Luis Elizondo, and of course Matthew Brown, who brought immaculate constellation to everyone's attention. Many have argued that even if Congress requested testimony, there remained uncertainty over what they could legally disclose. So the administration says this directive is intended to remove that uncertainty so that they're getting objective information and they can use that information to pry the door open on UAP disclosure effectively. Does this mean people can now reveal everything publicly? No, it doesn't. It doesn't mean that at all. And I think they're still going to be very cautious because as far as I'm concerned, these people are going to be watched from the moment they leave the testifying room all the way, home and going to be bugged and followed and all sorts of stuff. So
it's terrible.
I think regardless of what's waived, I still think they're going to get intimidated by these people that are working on these programs. So the waiver allows former officials to speak to authorized government investigators without fearing they are violating previous NDAs. It does not automatically permit posting classified documents online, giving unrestricted interviews, or revealing classified special access programs. Okay, so just to basically give you the realities of what this means, it's not going to be just someone going, all right, now we can just release everything, like Disclosure Day, the movie, which I will not be talking about here, by the way.
Hello, would you like to hear the
but
news?
Yeah, it's not going to be a case of them going to a news network and start putting all the USB ports in the bloody thing and then just uploading it No, that's not what's going to happen. This is going to be a lot more boring. It's going to be a lot more bureaucratic. There's going to be a lot of legislators all over this. It's going to be a very slow, painful process. I told you from the beginning, and I'm saying it now 3 years later, I'm in it for the long term. This is a marathon, it's not a sprint, and that's just what it is. So, any information still considered classified remains classified until it is reviewed through existing declassification procedures. So yeah, I mean, could this affect special access programs? Probably, potentially.
Yeah.
Many allegations surrounding recovered UAP technology involve special access programs, that's SAPs, controlled access programs, that's CAPs, and compartmented intelligence. The administration has not said these programs are being declassified. Rather, witnesses who possess knowledge of such programs can reportedly discuss them inside secure government channels with clear investigations. So the important caveat here is that at the moment, this information comes from senior administration officials speaking to Fox News, and I have not found a published executive order on memorandum containing the precise language of the directive. Okay, I've not found that at all anywhere. So I'm waiting for the penny to drop. I'm waiting for Fox News to have a spokesperson from the Trump administration speak more about this. But this is coming from Fox Digital, so it's a written piece on their website. And let's see if it sticks. Let's see if any other publications pick it up. But that is the latest on all things UAP for now, guys, and the most probably significant bit of news we've had in some time.
I love you, DK.
So you heard it first from DK, and I will see you guys on the next one. Thanks very much.
If any of you remember this video here where I showed you my Bible, which had the date for Jesus's crucifixion and resurrection. Well, I got my hands on something that's about 100 years older than that Bible. This is from 1718. It's a geographical and chronological study of the New Testament, and it also has the date for the resurrection and the crucifixion.
You guys, like I said before, I'm not political, I'm not religious, but I do know that there's a lot of ish happening right now. And so I'm hoping, like, you will not just be like, oh my God, this is religious, and run away. Like, just hang out with me and let's listen to what people are posting, because, hey, we don't have cable anymore. This is open, honest, I hope, information being put out there for us to hear. We can listen to it and use our discernment to realize, is this real, is this true or not?
As well as the ascension of Jesus. Let me show you real quick and let me know what you think. Okay, so opening it up here. Here we have the year of Christ's life. Notice it ages him as 35 in the year 33. And it says he was crucified April 3rd. April 5th, our Lord rose from the dead, and May 14th, our Lord ascended, and here the gospel history ends. So this matches perfectly with what my 1830 and 1857 Bibles said. April 3rd for the crucifixion, April 5th for the day he rose from the dead, and the ascension date, I don't think that was in my Bibles, so that's a new one for me right there.
Yeah.
All right, super cool. Stay tuned for more from this book because there is a lot of good stuff inside. All right, God bless.
So David had a problem. He just got done.
Zevi, I'm not sure if that's how you say it, but I really enjoy the way he explains things.
Doing something called a preliminary hearing. What's a preliminary hearing? You ask. Great question. It basically means a judge is looking at the prosecutor's evidence, the prosecutor, the people that are against David, in determining if they have enough to even go to a trial in the first place. Well, what did the judge say? Well, I didn't say David had a good day. I said he had a problem. The judge said, take it to trial, baby. And just to be clear, this is not what David and his defense wanted. The best case scenario was a judge to look at the evidence and be like, no, this is not enough. David, you can go home. Well, that was never going to happen, because during a preliminary hearing, the prosecutors don't have to show that much evidence. They just have to show enough. What's enough, you ask? Well, let's get into it. But first, you have to remember David's 3 charges. 1, Celeste Rivas Hernandez. 2, being with Celeste Rivas Hernandez when she was of a certain age. If you don't know her age, look in the comments. 3, tampering with somebody after they were, and that's basically moving them around, or in David's case, what he did with the chainsaw, allegedly. Now, I need you to listen to this next part closely. The prosecutor and the defense are playing a game of chess. The prosecutor's goal is to get to a trial without revealing all of the evidence. The defense's goal is just to poke a bit of holes in the prosecutor's argument. Remember, the defense does not...
I just felt bad for Celeste because I remember being in that mindset of, I'm wise beyond my years because I've gone through years of abuse, yada, yada, yada. I know what I'm doing. She was not quite aware yet of what David was, which was pure incarnate evil.
Have to provide evidence on their own. During the preliminary hearing, during the actual trial, the defense's job is to defend. They're going to block off the stuff the prosecution is saying, but also not reveal their entire defense strategy either. You'll see what I mean in a moment. So prosecutor so David, one of the charges, we were saying that he was with Celeste at an age that he should not have been with Celeste. Yes. The defense said, prove it. They said, here are the pictures, here are the text messages. Actually, here are some explicit pictures. We're going to post them on the screen right there. The defense said, damn. The judge said, excuse me, you say damn? Y'all guilty? The defense said, no. I said, wham. It's the moniker of Lil Baby. It stands for Who Hot As Me. But my rebuttal is nothing. You see, right off that, we go into trial. Pictures, text messages of David texting Celeste saying, yo, we, like, you know what I'm like, excuse me, you're not winning that. So the defense said, look, we're not going to sit up here and look stupid. We might have something to say when we get to trial, but we're not going to argue for the sake of argument. Next, the prosecutor said, first of all, don't say next like you run something. All right, watch your mouth. Second of all, David, Celeste, and we're going to give you some evidence for that too. Here's David ordering an Uber for Celeste.
Oh my God.
The defense said, all right, how y'all know that? The prosecutor said, well, here are them texting saying, I'm finna call you an Uber. The defense said, did she ever get in the Uber in the first place? Did y'all talk to the Uber driver? See, these are the types of questions that the defense asks. Remember, they don't got to provide evidence on their own. They just have to poke holes. The prosecutor said, well, we did talk to the Uber driver, and he said that he doesn't remember Celeste. The defense said, oh, how interesting. The prosecutor said, well, I don't think we need all that, because here's a text of Celeste saying, look, David, I'm here at your crib. The defense said, well, how you know she was really, really there? Prosecutor said, we don't need all that. This ain't the trial of defense get to do whatever they want. It's going to be up to a jury. This the preliminary hearings. Now, if you notice, I've mentioned David and Celeste's text a few times because it seems that the prosecutors and the defense are, listen closely, using these texts to form some of their arguments. Okay, in the prosecutor's case, they're saying, look, clearly they had a relationship. They keep talking about all the stuff they've done. If you read closely over here, it says, because I had your embryo in me. This is Celeste speaking to David. They're having...
Do you guys remember that point too, when they were online doing a show? And then she's like, yeah, when they rape girls... And then David looked at her, shocked, looked back at the camera, erase everything, get rid of everything. Do you guys remember that?
arguments, and where these arguments seem to stem from. Remember, this is from the prosecutor, and where these arguments seem to stem from is Celeste was jealous of David and his relationship with another influencer, another girl, and she's threatening to expose David. David's scrambling. He doesn't want his career to be ruined. He said, look, let me just Celeste. This is what the prosecutors are alleging. The defense is saying, okay, look, we see your texts, all right? And you know what? We can't deny those texts. But she seemed really irate in these messages.
She was very
unstable, if you ask me. So,
hey,
what?
We ain't asking you. We already know, like, her home life was already unstable. We heard, aka me, the worms I carry, or the parasites, or whatever, how she integrated with her family and the ish that was going on there.
If she went over there and I don't know, the prosecutor said, I don't know. What are you trying to say? The defense said, well, that's the beauty of it. We don't have to say anything. The defense said, medical examiner. Medical examiner pulled up. He said, huh? The defense said, you said Celeste was poked with something really sharp in 2 different locations? The medical examiner said, yes. The defense said, can you say that David did it for show, for show? The medical examiner said, well, no, I can't. The defense said, well, then I don't know. It seemed that the defense was trying to sprinkle in maybe Celeste did pull up and she herself. A little sprinkle of that. They're trying to poke holes from all different directions. Here's another.
You know what I think? I think this happened shortly after that phone call, whether it was minutes, hours, or days. He was very upset because he knew she was smarter than he wanted her to be. And therefore, out thou she became victim numero uno. Once he brought other people into and onto, breaking down the and stuff. She's very sad. I feel so bad for her. Very, very
example
bad.
Of that. The prosecutor said, well, after Celeste was David's Tesla, all of a sudden start moving. David sending a text saying, Celeste, where you at? Celeste clearly was by that time, so it seems he's trying to cover his tracks. David's Tesla drives to a location. We go to that location and we find Celeste's belongings. Wow, what a coincidence, right?
Yeah.
The defense is like, yes.
It's a coincidence.
That is a coincidence because
it is,
do y'all have video footage of David getting in his car, David sending those texts and all that? How y'all know David did that? But the prosecutor, though, still cool as a fan. Remember, the whole point of this is let's go to trial, right? Prosecutor said, okay,
so nice
I think he did it with all the evidence I gave you. Defense, you saying he didn't. Let's ask 12 other people what they think. The judge said, that's a good idea. Let's take it to trial, baby. The defense attorney said, David said, excuse me, did I just hear a gulp? The defense attorney said, they got your dumb ass on video. Matter of fact, you got your dumb ass on video taking pictures of yourself, stupid ass. Boy, I know that defense attorney is stressed out because at the end of the day, David's got 3 pretty big charges. And if he's found guilty for one of these charges, that's a lot of years. And there's only so many holes you can poke in a story. David was seeing Celeste. Here are the pictures. Here are the text messages. David didn't know how old she was. Remember when the police came to her house and told her how old she was? Maybe David forgot. How many holes can you poke? And see, on top of everything, the defense knows that if one of these charges sticks, the judge is going to throw the book at them because of the nature of the crime. They're showing what happened to Celeste with pictures in detail. Her family leaving the room crying. You think a judge going to sit there and be like, oh, okay, 1 year, David, 2 years.
So sad, man.
Boy, if that judge has an opportunity to give the max sentence, that max sentence is probably coming, and it's coming hard. But like the district attorney said himself, this is only the beginning. They don't really got to say much.
Dude, okay.
We don't got to show everything we got. The real fight's going to happen during the trial.
Do you enjoy provoking me?
Now I got Brad Piddle in the mix, but yes, nice to see you too. Live again. I've been live several times, but I went and ordered a new internet service besides Century Stink. And then very next day I went and looked at the unit on the wall. Gonna start there, then work out to the outside box for the internet. There was something disconnected, so I'm hoping this live stream actually does what it needs to, because yeah, the internet was super messed up.
Give your life to the gods. Zeus, god of
I
thunder.
got reconnected and working, I hope.
Serve them.
Yes, of course.
And Ares, god of war, who blankets his bed with the skin of men he's killed.
You have been lied to about this symbol right here, and it's time to set the record straight. The Eye of Providence, or the All-Seeing Eye, is famously pictured on the dollar bill, as you saw above, and in many other images, as you can see here, which we're going to talk about. This is the one that for some reason people think means Illuminati, somebody bad is watching me, and we're going to talk about why that's completely wrong. And let me start by saying this, the meaning of the symbol is not that complicated. It literally just means God. That's it. Now, of course, there's a bit more to it because it's the eye within the triangle representing the Trinity, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, each one corresponding to one of its sides, and then the eye in the center being the eye of the entire Godhead watching over you and spreading light. And it doesn't represent nefarious surveillance. It represents loving protection and the watchful eye of God. And before you run to the comments telling me this is some crazy theory, no, it's not, okay? This iconography has been used in cathedrals and Christian churches since the 1600s, painted on altars, carved into ceilings. It was a common, normal Christian symbol all the way back centuries ago. And somewhere along the line, something changed. I can't tell you exactly when, but it went from a loving, God is watching over you in all aspects of your life, to somebody evil is watching me. And it's important to note that when we talk about symbols, okay, they don't mean anything outside of the meaning that we put into them. And this is what you need to take note of, because it's the same symbol, it never changed, yet in the modern day has a completely different connotation. And it's important to just keep this in mind with any symbol that you're looking at. When it brings something to mind, okay, go a step deeper and look at that symbol and think about whose interpretation of that symbol are you working with? Where did it come from, and why do you feel the way that you feel about it? Because there's a million different interpretations for tons of different symbols, regardless of where they come from or what they mean now. Just be cognizant of your interpretation, because symbols are everywhere, not just in religious iconography, but everywhere. So just remember, you're the one who's giving this symbol meaning, and its deepest meanings are actually from your interpretation. So if you want to learn more about the historical background of these symbols and how to come up and tune in and understand the symbolism, understand the deeper meanings, and pull things out of this. I'm telling you that most people look at this, they never think about the Trinity, they never think about God, the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit, the totality of the Godhead, all these things about these symbols, and it takes time, and it takes careful contemplation, solemn contemplation to understand how to be able to pull these things out of the symbols, because there's more than meets the eye in almost every symbol that you see, I can guarantee it, and the insights are profound. Symbolism is really important, and it's a special way to learn new things and gain insight into creator and creation. And if you're interested in doing that, leave the word sanctum in the comments below, or head to the link in my bio, sign up for the Inner Sanctum. We would love to have you enroll there. We go deep into religious iconography, all sorts of esoteric symbolism and mystery tradition study. And if you want to change your life, this is a great way to do it. So I hope to see you guys there in the next one.
I still do have a mini TV. I just don't have the charging one.
What the fuck? I think I got away. Who are you always running from? And why do you always lead them directly to me? Because when I'm with you, they don't want to come around. Who? And why not? Because you're my clone. And if they see me with you, and I expose them, then they get scared, and then they have, you tell everybody, and then they have to kill you, and then it's messy. What the are you talking about? They're very weak, Josh. They're very spindly, skinny.
You're very weak.
Weak. I could hold my cock antenna at them, and they would lose their human form, and suddenly everyone would see what they really look like. Okay, there's so much to unpack here. Hold your cock antenna at who? The Graulords, Josh. When I hold my cock antenna, I send a frequency, and no longer can they hold their shape-shifting technology, so they become these ugly, spindly... And then people everywhere would see, and they go... and then it would suddenly become aware, so that they're very scared of me because I'm very powerful. Okay, slow down, because this is not matter of fact. Like, I didn't go to some homeschool in Bavaria. They become what when you hold your cock at them?
My cock disrupt their shape-shifting technology, Josh. And so they can appear human, they look like a pedo, but underneath it, they have fake flesh, like Bill Gates flesh, like lab-grown flesh. So it's very weak and it does not hold up. So you can kick them and break them very easily. But they have very advanced technology, and they're trying to catch me because they want to clone me again.
Technology.
Okay, so hold up. So what do they look like when you disrupt their technology? Their original weak form, Josh. They have no divine spark, so everything is artificial. So they have to suck your energy, and they have to suck energy from everywhere they can to survive, even for like a week. They're like a human fly, like a human fruit fly. They're very, very weak. You kick them and break the leg. You said that, but why are they so weak? They're clones, Josh. They're weak, like Bill Gates meat weak, like shit meat. That's why they're breaking apart. But they have a lot of them. They can reproduce them, but they're cheap. That's why they fall apart. Like you, Josh. Like me? Well, not exactly. You're actually a direct derivative of me, so you're quite strong in comparison to them, which is like a derivative of a derivative of a derivative of a derivative. You know, like copying a code too many times. It's like, wait, stop. What do you mean I'm a clone? Oh, shit, I didn't tell you, right? No, you haven't told me, and I also don't believe it. Yeah, Josh, almost everybody a clone. Almost everybody is a derivative of a clone. Why do you think you look so old at age 38? I do not look old for 38. Compared to me, who's 542, you look like shit, Josh.
Here's another advice. Look at the fruits sitting in your kitchen counter right now. Seedless apples, seedless grapes, seedless lemons, seedless watermelons, and they selling it to us as a convenience. Making things easy is just a bait to make you dependent on their system. When you eat a seedless fruit, you are eating a castrated organism. It carries zero generational memory. It cannot reproduce. It is a dead end in the natural chain of life. Why do you think billionaire foundations and global institutions built the Svalbard Global Seed Vault deep in the frozen Arctic mountain, hoarding millions of organic heirloom seeds behind glass doors, while your local grocery store is flooded with patented transgenic hybrids? Because he who controls the seeds controls the food. He who controls the food controls the vessel. They engineer crops that yield fruit once, but produce sterile seeds, so you're forced to buy new seeds from corporate monopolies every single season. When a population loses the ability to grow their own food, it loses.
Okay, so I'm gonna pause her really quick. Have you guys, Travis, anyone, try to grow your own food this year? I've had luck with my dill, my carrots until my chickens got to it. My cucumber bush sprouted out ahead, but then it just died. My butterfly bushes are good, but have you had any luck with growing anything this year? I'm wondering if what's going on in the sky, which people are like, you're a dumby, and that's just contrails going on. No. Even India has come out and said these are chemtrails happening in the sky above us, crisscrossing. That's where they get their major absorption of these chemicals or whatnot. Am I high on crack? I don't think so. To me, it's just like I've been watching the sky since 1984. That is the year my mother was killed by a drunk driver. My mother was an artist, and so, my mom's an angel. I look to the sky, I see these beautiful paintings or astrations or whatever you want to call them. It's super beautiful.
Their sovereignty. Hunger is the ultimate tool for compliance, because a starving human trapped in these 3D coats of skin will trade their freedom, their rights, their divine alignment for a single ration card. Seeds carry the original uncorrupted genetic blueprint of the Earth's soil. So this is my advice. Stop throwing away your seeds. Every time you eat an organic apple, a melon, or a heirloom pepper, harvest the seeds.
Okay, so I'm glad she's taking the scripture seeds differently than what they actually are.
Don't store them in plastic bags because they'll grow mold. Dry them completely on unbleached paper, then store them in sealed glass jars. Place with a natural desiccant like dry rice or silica. Build your own private seed vault inside your home. Preserve the organic code of this realm. Your grandchildren will thank you.
A commercial fisherman says that he accidentally pulled hundreds of human teeth out of the ocean. And what happened?
How does that happen? Is it human teeth, or could this be mermaid teeth? I'm pretty sure mermaid teeth are sharper, but perhaps the tip is less calcified and it breaks off and makes it look like human teeth as it is gathered. What do you think? Let me know.
And after he brought them home, made him throw everything back out into the sea. So this story was sent to me by a follower named James, and he's from the West Coast. And before I tell it, there's no way for me to verify whether any of this is true. So as always, take it as entertainment and you can decide for yourselves. Now, James says that this story happened to his uncle, who's a commercial fisherman, and he spent nearly 20 years working out on the water. And according to him, it was the only time that he ever thought about never going back out to the sea ever again after this encounter. So his uncle had been fishing the Pacific for a while, and he pulled up everything that you can possibly imagine. Old anchors, weapons, animal bones, even abandoned safes he's pulled out. But nothing, and I mean nothing, came close to what happened one foggy morning just before sunrise. Now, he had just dropped his trawl net about a mile offshore when it snagged onto something unusually heavy, or it was just giving him some fight. And at first, he thought maybe he hooked it onto like an engine block or maybe an old section of a wreckage. And it took nearly 20 minutes to drag whatever this was onto the deck. And instead of any of the obvious, up came this old burlap sack that was rolled out, it like rolled out of the net. And it was tied shut with what looked like rotted rope. Obviously, being curious, he cut it open, as many of us probably would have, and out poured hundreds, maybe even thousands of human teeth that just spilled across the deck. Not dentures, not animal teeth, I mean human teeth. Some still had fillings, other had gold crowns that were attached to them. Some looked decades old, and others looked disturbingly fresh, and he just stood there frozen. And his first thought was that someone had dumped evidence maybe from an old dental office or, but then he noticed something pretty strange. Several of the teeth still had tiny pieces of jawbone attached to it. And that's when his stomach dropped and he immediately called the Coast Guard, thinking that he just possibly came across some evidence of like a cold case or hundreds of cold cases. And when they arrived, they photographed everything and they collected the teeth, obviously. But because the sack had clearly been underwater for years and there was no obvious indication of where it possibly could have come from, they told him that they'd follow up if necessary. Most likely they would be, to get a statement again later on. But because there was so many teeth that spilled across the deck, some actually slid into spots that were hidden, and James nor the Coast Guard had noticed them. Now, finding them after they had already been gone for quite some time, James decided to hold on to them in case they came back to speak with him, and he was going to give it to them then. Now, that decision would end up haunting him. He couldn't stop thinking about them. Something about the collection felt actually like sickening and wrong to him. And he dumped them into this 5-gallon bucket in his garage when he got home later on that day. And he tried to forget about them, tried to go on with the rest of his day and the rest of his night. Then the noises started. Every single night, just after 1 a.m., he'd hear what sounded like marbles slowly rolling across the concrete floor in his garage. And every time that he grabbed a flashlight and walked into the garage, there was nothing at all, except the bucket. And it somehow had tipped over. And the teeth were scattered across the floor, perfectly spread out, almost as if someone had carefully arranged them. Yeah, and he blamed the rats or other animals, he blamed the gravity, and then convinced himself that he never set the bucket upright in the first place. Until one night, his wife shook him awake, and she whispered to him that she thinks someone was outside. And he looked through the kitchen window, and standing at the end of the dock was a person, standing completely still, facing the water, not the house. They weren't moving, they were just standing there. And he grabbed a flashlight and ran outside, and there was nobody, there was no boat, there was no footprints, no sound, except for one thing. He found a trail of wet footprints leading from the shoreline straight into his garage. And the garage door was already open, and inside the bucket was empty. Every single tooth that he'd thrown in there was now gone. The next morning, he searched everywhere for them, thinking that maybe he moved them or his wife, but there was nothing. And later that afternoon, he loaded the empty burlap sack into his boat without really knowing why. He was kind of doing it like robotically, almost like a spell on him. He returned to the exact coordinates where he found them, and he tied a weight to the sack and dropped it overboard. And the moment that it disappeared beneath the surface, the water, he said, it was like so still. There was no wind, no waves, nothing. The silence lasted almost a full minute. And then something bumped the bottom of his boat. Not once, not twice, but 3 times. And it was slow and very deliberate. Like definitely wasn't an accident. Like someone was knocking from underneath. And he started the engine and never looked back. And according to James, his uncle sold that boat less than a month later, and he never fished that area again.
Oh my
and
gosh.
maybe some things do belong at the bottom of the ocean, and they're maybe never meant to be found. So what do you think? Would you have opened the sack or thrown it back the second that you realized that there was human teeth inside? Let me know what you guys think in the comments.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is now official, because I said so. The Democratic Party has changed their name to the Dumb and Crap Party.
What? Democrat, dumb and crap.
I did that. Yeah, okay, just
It's not me, but
I am from the pre-existent Father and a son in the pre-existent One. And that's not a prayer.
What about the Holy
it's
Ghost?
an answer. It was written down 2,000 years ago.
Sir, Bladen, what about the Holy Ghost? That's what I'm wondering. I am from the Son and the Father. But what about the Holy Ghost, sir?
Because the people who wrote it believed you'd have to say it out loud to something that was trying to send you back. So let me tell you what they thought was waiting. The Gnostics didn't believe this world was built by God. They believed it was built by something that came out of a mistake, a being called Yaldabaoth, the name roughly meaning child of chaos, and in the Apocryphon of John, he isn't described as a man, or a light, or even a presence. He's described as a lion-faced serpent with eyes of fire. And he built this place, and then he staffed it. There's a guy named Origen who was a church father, and he was actually writing to attack these people, and in doing so, he accidentally preserved the whole system for us. In Contra Celsum, he describes a Gnostic diagram, and it names them. 7 rulers, 7 gates. Yaldabaoth with the face of a lion, Iao, Sabaoth, Adonaios with the face of an eagle, there's Astaphios, Iolaios with the face of a dog, as well as Horaios. Each one sits on a planetary sphere, and each one is a checkpoint between you and the way out. And before we go farther, if you want the exact passwords, the full hour-long breakdown of the Gnostic Ascent tradition, every gate, every name, and all the detail that I can't state publicly, it is live in the Sanctum now. Comment the word Sanctum down below and click the link in my bio for access for a limited time. According to the Apocryphon of John, these archons also built something called the Antimemen Pneuma, or the counterfeit spirit, and they put it inside you. It's a false self. It is a copy designed to sit exactly where your real nature should be and answer on your behalf. So when you're standing at that gate and something asks who you are, the thing that speaks isn't you. It's the thing they installed to make sure you'd get it wrong.
There's a reason Mary Magdalene is always painted holding a little jar of
Or a
ointment.
baby.
And it has nothing to do with her being a sinful woman either.
No.
That whole
No, not at all. And I don't know about you guys, but I love this guy. I love his energy, the way he makes me feel secure and easy in my thought process. But maybe I'm wrong. What do you think?
story got glued together centuries later. One pope decided to mash 3 different women into one, and suddenly the woman who stood at the cross, the first to see the risen Christ, becomes a redeemed prostitute with a jar. But look closer.
Mm-hmm.
That jar shows up for a reason.
That is one thing that I liked about Jesus. Like, I was very aware at a very young age. My mom was killed by a drunk driver. There was all kinds of paranormal other things happening before that time and after that time and during that time. But, I don't know, this guy makes me feel comfortable as far as, like, he's been where I've been.
In the Gospel of Philip, the anointing isn't about wiping away sin. It's the sacred chrism, the oil that seals the light. The same oil that turns an ordinary person into someone who carries the fragrance of the aroma. Philip says that when somebody's anointed, even the people standing nearby can smell it.
Mm-hmm.
The unanointed stay in their own odor.
I smelled it.
Mary Magdalene is the one who understood that. She's called the companion, the one he loved more than others, the one who received the kiss that wasn't romantic theater.
No.
It was the transmission of breath, of knowing. So when the painters put that jar in her hands, they were accidentally telling the truth. They thought that they were covering up. See, she wasn't carrying perfume for a funeral.
No.
Or oil for a sinner's tears.
It's ashes, dude.
She was carrying the thing that wakes the divine spark. The same spark the system has been trying to keep asleep ever since. I keep coming back to this because once you see the jar as initiation instead of shame, the whole story flips.
SM oil. Chrism.
They tried to make her small so the rest of us would stay small.
People's heads.
But the jar is still there in every painting, quietly waiting for somebody to remember what it actually held.
I am not convinced that the true biblical lands are in America. And to call me a liar for not believing that they are, not believing you, seer of the times, that's not right. I have watched your videos. I have spoken to you and What If Mom. And I don't see any tangible evidence coming from what you guys have posted. I appreciate your extensive work on mapping America to match the biblical lands in the Middle East and the biblical lands that are in the Bible. A lot of what you've cited here comes from Jasher, and Jasher contradicts some of the things that are in Genesis. Jasher is not a canonical book, and it is not even Apocrypha. We don't have the original book of Jasher. It wasn't even written until the 1800s. So to use that as your source is going to discredit a lot of what you said here. On top of that, I have spent a lot of work going through these books here that are hundreds of years old, that mathematicians, scholars, researchers, and Christians of the time put their life's work into showing that the historical and geographical evidence in the Bible matches the Middle East, proving that the Bible is historically accurate. And that is what I have set the last year or so of my time in doing, is that showing that the Bible is historically accurate and using the information that is so extensive in these old books here to prove that, because that strengthens the believer. If you want to point people in the other direction and claim that none of that is accurate, that is going to sow seeds of doubt in the believer. And I honestly believe that. Because if you tell them that what we have believed for hundreds of years, that the archaeological evidence that has been found in the Middle East is false, that the places that you can still visit today, that were even mentioned in this book here from 1718, are not the true places, where Jesus walked, where Mary received the Annunciation, etc., if you're going to tell people that that is not real, it's going to sow seeds of doubt in the believer. And I think that that's dangerous, and you need to be careful.
Jesus was the pimp of all pimps. Like, okay, so he wasn't pimping people out, but he loved everybody. He loved all the prostitutes, the thieves, everyone out there. The only time I ever saw him really pissed off was when people were trying to sell wares in the temple. That's the only time, besides war and stuff, that I remember my brother Jesus being pissed off. What about you? Like, what is your thoughts? When do you think that our brother Jesus got pissed off? That's the only time I remember, like, him coming into the temple, flipping over the tables, because people are trying to make money off of the Holy Spirit, the Holy Ghost.
So me not believing you or your videos does not mean I haven't watched them. It means that I'm more convinced by the extensive work that has been done hundreds of years ago, as well as still today. And that's what I've been showing, that almost everything that has been researched historically in these books matches today, minus a few things, like my video on the Dead Sea, for instance. But even that...
No. Okay, so you say that, but I believe that, was it his father? I want to say Joseph. Not his true father, but his father, like, on earth. Carpenter, tell him a lot about that, and patience, yada yada, what's right, what's wrong, etc., etc.
Still points you to the Middle East near the Dead Sea. I would say that the case for this being true, for the Middle East being the true biblical lands, the case for that is much stronger than your theories on it being in America. So I usually don't like to respond to negative comments, but you've commented a lot and you called me a liar, which that's not cool. So I felt I had to respond to this publicly, that
Oh my gosh, why can I not hear this now?
I hope you understand where I'm coming from. And I want anyone else watching to understand that what I do here on my page is to prove that the Bible is historically accurate and reliable. The Bible, the scriptures. These tell you exactly where Jesus walked, exactly where the Jews walked in the Old Testament. And you can still visit these places today. It is historically and geographically accurate. And I want that to strengthen the believers. All right. God bless.
You see, there was only one person on earth that was good in every hood, and that was Michael Jackson. This picture behind me is Michael Jackson throwing up gang signs with the Los Angeles Crips. This picture is 100% real. Now I know what you're thinking. Damn, Michael Jackson with the Crips, this story finna be wild. And you're right, it's finna be wild. Now this all started because Michael Jackson was recording a song called Beat It. Now if you listen closely to the lyrics of Beat It, he's basically talking about the gang life and how it's braver to walk away from a fight rather than risking your life. After we finished recording, they said, damn, Mike, you going crazy. We need to shoot a video for this right now. Michael said, I agree. So what gang members are we going to use for the actual video? And they said, no, we're just going to use actors. Michael Jackson said, well, one thing for sure, two things for certain. I ain't never been fake. So we're going to get the real thing. Mike's people looked at each other and said, look, Mike, it's the 80s. I know the gangsters dress like they should be in a Playboy Cardi fashion show, but like, they like that for real. Michael Jackson said, boy, I'm from Gary. Michael Jackson's voice can get pretty deep. He said, boy, I'm from Gary, Indiana. Stop playing with me. You think I'm soft? Google me. Google my city. They said, Mike, it's the 80s. We don't know what Google is. Mike said, don't worry about all that. Just get me the gangsters for real. So Mike's people took to the streets. They said, gangsters, hello. Any gangsters here? They said, we're gangsters. They said, yeah, so y'all want to be in a...
Okay, so far as end times. I've been up, down, all around, all this, and then I'm back down and center too. Yes. Gonna be here for the end times. I'm going to be old. I never thought I'd be old. I've outlived I have a year and a half till I outlive my dad, but I've almost outlived everyone. But yeah, I received a blessing, and it told me that I would be here for the end times. I'd be a messenger among women, which this is a patriarchy sort of thing going on, oligarchy. They think they're above me, but a messenger among many. I've gone on and off the tracks. I'm coming back relentless from the last attack that I've had, but I'm ready to go. I am stoked as far as I've got my geese, I've got my chickens, I've got my guineas, I've got my ducks, I got my greenhouse. I built things, and I don't even have experience building things. This is intense. This is immense.
Michael Jackson video? They said Michael Jackson. Now you gotta understand, it's Michael Jackson in the 80s, so it don't matter how hard you are, you're saying absolutely. So the gangster said absolutely, but here's the thing. Michael Jackson wanted real gangsters that were really beefing. So he got about 80 members of the Crips and the Bloods. And again, this is the 80s. This is the height of the Crip and Blood rivalry. Side note, if you don't know, Crips and Bloods are two gangs that started in Los Angeles. Very, very famous for their intense beef. So the director pull up to Michael Jackson. This is the director right here. His name was Bob. He said, yo, Mike, what are you doing? Mike said, you stuttering. You sound scared. It's going to be all right. Don't worry about it.
No, he was
Michael said, the song
serious.
is about coming together and putting aside your differences. Once they hear it, I know they'll be inspired. I just know it. The director said, all right, look, we're going to be in a studio. So Mike said, a studio? He said, one thing for sure, two things for certain. I ain't never been fake. We shooting this in Skid Row. The director said, you talking about Skid Row, like the infamous neighborhood in Los Angeles that has the largest homeless population because the government basically gave up on it. Michael said, did I call the Crips and the Bloods and tell them to pull up to Skid Row? We gonna meet them
I know,
there.
I love that
So
one
it's
too.
the first day of shooting, and here's where things start to get wicked. The director pull up to the spot, and the assistant immediately rushes out and says, the Crips and the Bloods, they fighting. Whose idea was it to put them in a room together? Where's the director at? Where's the director? The director said,
Cut.
they said, director, that's you right there. Director said, huh? Oh yeah, what happened? They said, yeah, the Crips and the Bloods, they in there fighting. Somebody got to stop them. The director said, the police rush in. The director said, thank God. Who called y'all? They said, nah, ain't nobody had to call us. We heard the Crips and the Bloods were going to be in one location, so we just decided to pull up. Also, side note, is Michael Jackson here yet? The director said, y'all fanned out. No, he not here yet. They said, okay, we just going to be around. We going to be security. We just going to help him out. The director said, well, your timing is perfect. My assistant just came over to me and said the Crips and the Bloods were in there beefing. The assistant starts running towards them again. The director said, look, there go my assistant. He must be running for his life. The assistant pulled up. He said, yo, I just got off the phone. They said, Michael Jackson pulling up right now. The director said, are you stupid? There could be a gang war happening on set right now. You're talking about some Michael Jackson. The assistant said, boy, I don't care if it's the Crips versus the Bloods, the Boston Celtics versus the Los Angeles Lakers, the Stormcloaks versus the Imperials. We talking about Michael Jackson in the 80s. Lock in. The director looked at the police. The police said, you do got to lock in. It's Michael Jackson in the 80s. Besides, the Crips and the Bloods right there. They look fine. The Crips and the Bloods said, Michael, come in. The director said, man. Suddenly, it was as if all the air was sucked out of the room. Dun, 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 dun. The aura was palpable. Michael Jackson had arrived. Everybody started losing it. They said, Michael, it's Michael, it's Michael. Michael Jackson said, hi, everybody, hello. And you got to understand, they're in the middle of Skid Row. You got the two biggest rival gangs at the time in the area. You got the police in the area. You got professionals, directors, industry people, and everybody froze up when Michael hit the scene. Michael pulled up to the gangsters. He said, hi, and what gang are you from? They said, we from the Crip gang. Michael said, oh, okay, I like what you do with your hands. Is that some sort of ghetto sign language? They said, no. Like it showed what set you from.
Oh, cookies and cream.
The Bloods and the Crips actually get together and they call a truce. They said, look, Michael Jackson here, we got to be on our best behavior. And this was quite literally Michael Jackson's goal. He wasn't delusional. He didn't think that he was going to fix the Bloods and the Crip rivalry, but he wanted them to get together for a moment just to see that they could stop beefing and watch a performance. And watch a performance they did. This is actual members from the Crips in the music video watching Michael Jackson dance all. They said while Michael Jackson was dancing for the video, they said everybody in the room was stunned silent. And the thing about Michael Jackson is he didn't have to do this, but he genuinely wanted to change the world. This picture I was showing you this whole time is actually the second time he hung out with the Crips during the video of The Way You Make Me Feel. He was shooting it in LA again, so he called the Crips over. He said, yo, y'all pull up. And how this picture was taken is they actually went up to Michael and they told him, look, they made us sign an NDA saying that we can't take no pictures. Michael Jackson said, don't worry about that. Let's take a picture right now. During the picture, the Crips were actually standing there on their best behavior until Michael Jackson throws up the C sign for the Crips, and they start losing it, and they start putting up the C signs themselves. And from that day on, they called Michael Jackson an honorary Crip. You see, it's one thing to make a song and talk about changing the world, but Michael Jackson actually lived by his lyrics and would actively try to change the world with his own two hands. And that's what made him a star. So, rest in peace, Michael Jackson, the honorary Crip.
Do you believe the earth is flat? William Shatner does. So William Shatner has been a bit vocal about saying that the earth is actually flat, like it's got a dome over it, but it's actually flat. Now, William Shatner, we know from Star Trek, he also was one of the occupants of Blue Origin's lower levels of space, if you will, right? Or lower levels of atmosphere of Earth, going into space with, you know, other celebrities and scientists, so forth and so on. But he has come forward saying the earth is flat. Now, mind you, I don't necessarily agree with this. In fact, I believe the earth is a globe. It is round. I look at the earth, I look at the moon, I look at all the planets. They're, you know where I'm getting at. They're all structurally the same, of global, marble-like, spherical, if you will. I could be wrong, because I've never been to space. So I could be totally wrong. But let's take a listen to what William Shatner has to say about this subject.
Oh, no.
I have to have you clear something up, though, if you don't mind, on the show this week. The last time you were on, we had a clip that got like 2 million views because you said something. And then people are actually attacking me saying, that's not really Bill Shatner. That's why I'm glad you're on video this time.
What did I say? I take it back.
I asked you when you were up in space, if you could clear the air of letting people know, is the earth round or flat?
And can you confirm that the earth is round? Because there's been a lot of talk that the earth is flat. Are you able to tell that from space?
No. I have not seen complete proof that the earth is round. You can't.
That was not William Shatner speaking there. So let's see what else is there to be said. Because I know from watching Star Trek all my childhood life, that was not William Shatner, a.k.a. Shatpants.
Tell me that it's round with any great proof, other than somebody said, oh, I went around it. Well, that's their journey. My journey is, as far as I'm concerned, the earth is flat.
Interesting. You actually said to me that there was no evidence to you that the earth was in fact round, and until somebody proved it to you, it was flat. That's what you said, and people went friggin' nuts over it. I didn't realize people would go that crazy.
The earth is flat.
See? That's him right there.
Is that it's round. The earth is flat. The illusion is that it's round. The earth is flat. The illusion is that it's round.
I mean, I could be wrong. You know what I mean? But I...
Okay, so right there was William Shatpants drunk out of his fucking mind. Even if he was, he knows the truth. The illusion is that it's flat. Or maybe it's a little concave, or maybe it's a little abruptly stacked.
I know a lot of you don't believe that we've been to space and so forth and so on, but I mean, I do believe we have been to space. Certain things in the past, maybe they were questionable, but I digress. Anyways, I don't know. I also was watching this video about pilots talking about how they believe the earth was flat. Now, I don't know if it was satire, but if you're a pilot, I need to know your thoughts on this. because
I think I agree with you, Trav, man. Okay, so there was the original thought, the Earth is flat. There's a reason that this story exists. Just like myths of olden times, as far as Greek myths, which are, I believe, truths. I believe there were gods, and now we have a god, a creator, and I think it's going back and forth, a lot of different things happening. No. Yes. The Earth is not really round. It's this weird shaped clay figurine that all of us could have created with our Play-Doh or whatnot. And then you put water on top of it, and it fills it out to be a perfect circle. That doesn't mean the Earth is actually round. What exactly does it? I don't know. I've not been up there high enough, nor am I willing to be up there high enough to ask to be taken higher. I'm not sure. But thank you so much once again for hanging out with me tonight on We Are Paradox Media's Late Night in the Rockies. It's an honor and a pleasure hanging out with you and trying to entertain you for sure. Thank you to all my friends out there wherever you may be listening Beyond the Omniverse tonight. I did indeed have a wonderful time, and I can't wait to do it again tomorrow night when we're in fact going to be doing story time with me and TessaTNT out there screaming. Mr. Peel is the editor, curator of all these stories happening there, but I just need you guys to not forget we are all in this together. Together, we can make the world better. And together, my friends, we are Paradox Media, because without you, there is no us. If you have the means, ability, or initiative, if you believe in what I'm doing, and you feel like you want to or need to help me out, feel free to send fling or sling any green my way. It would really help me out to keep this mothership afloat. Ish ain't cheap these days, for sure. Places you can donate are by mail, P.O. Box 663, Bayfield, Colorado, 84122, Cash App at $, TessaTNT, PayPal at TessaTNT, and Venmo at Tessa-Thomas-Peterson. Night night, live a night, take care of my ewes, and I will see you back here, same crazy time, same crazy place. Mwah.